Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we had some changes in our agenda tonight for some folks that were asked if they could go a little later for some conflict. So we're going to start with number 4, public hearing for Paul Hunt, 10,000 days, requesting a code amendment to allow bottling facilities in the general commercial zone. So with that,
Do I start?
Jill, would you
Okay.
give us a
So,
staff report?
of course, Paul Hunt came before the Planning Commission and the City Council with a proposed idea of putting wine blending in a bottling facility along with an art gallery in the old fire station. Wine blending and bottling facility would fall under a bottling plant in our current code, which is not allowed in the general commercial zone. So the owner and authorized agent are requesting a code amendment to Camas Code 15.30.020 and 15.02.010 to allow for a wine blending and bottling business in the general commercial zone. There are 3 possible outcomes that I can see. First of all, you either change the code to allow bottling plants in the general commercial zone. Second, you could create a new bottling type facility definition with certain restrictions on it, or you could keep the current code and not allow any kind of bottling type facility in the general commercial zone. Staff is recommending that the Planning Commission decide on an appropriate bottling plant definition and limit the size of production to be allowed in the general commercial zone.
Okay. Scott, you got anything to add to this? Okay, with that, this is a public hearing. We'll open it up for the public for some comment. Nobody's jumping to the mic, so with that, we'll close the public hearing. And I will bring it to the commission. Anybody want to dive in here? Nobody. Bueller. No?
I will start with
Please do.
the definition, because did I email you that bottling plant definition? Not recently, before, when we were defining definitions.
Yes, we did put one in there, it's just not officially
Right.
added, which is the one that is right here on the Exhibit A. It says bottling plant, an industrial facility. Sorry, an industrial facility where drinks are put into bottles and sealed for sale to the public.
Okay, because mine's a little lengthier, so that's where I was confused. Mine was an industrial facility where beverages are bottled, canned, and/or filled containers for distribution. This includes packaging and labeling. If the facility includes upstream operations, i.e. beverage formulation, mixing, carbonation, or produces significant environment, traffic, noise, or waste impacts, it is classified as manufacturing heavy. But you could also, otherwise, the operations involving filling, packaging, or pre-processed beverage, it would likely fall under manufacturing light. So I don't know whether we want to
Take that one, yes, that's.
use 2 different, like manufacturing heavy and manufacturing light, just as he has brought out, like, that, no toxic fumes, it'll be minimal noise control and things like that. So that's what I was thinking. I do like the limited production. I don't know how you would, I don't know anything about bottling, so I don't know quite about that, but the square footage is helpful as well, so that there's not huge, big buildings on Main Street that are filling bottles, I guess.
I did speak with Paul, and here earlier today, and he said that typically he does 300 cases with 12 bottles per case. And the state code is 250,000 for a small facility, is that right? Paul, maybe he can explain that better.
Paul.
I believe that the state has two categories of a wine manufacturing business, a large and small, and I think it's the 20,000 cases, I believe, is the distinction. There's 12 bottles in a standard case, that would be 240,000 bottles. That's an order of 10 more than I would ever hope to do, and an order of, 20 more than I'm currently doing out of state, doing in California. So I could certainly agree to a bottle limit for what I need to do. And I was just trying to compare it to what the state, I think there are different taxations based on whether it's a large or small winery, is my understanding. Mine would be a significantly small production facility as the state economy.
Yeah, I didn't have time to research that, so I appreciate that information. So,
So I have a question
Yes.
on the definition. So as I looked at the definition, and there's some things that I would change that kind of is a happy medium between the two.
Okay,
But then my question is, so I'm looking at a definition of a bottling plant, and then as I come down to Exhibit B, then we have a wine bottling facility. So
yeah,
are
that was-
are we defining a wine bottling facility, or are we defining a bottling facility?
Facility.
that is kind of up to you guys. I did not know if you wanted to be more specific in a wine bottling facility, in which case that would also limit and not allow just every bottling facility into the general commercial zone. My thoughts are we need to limit what bottling is allowed in the general commercial, not all bottling facilities, is my opinion.
So we can have a bottling facility in elsewhere.
We can have
but
it
we-
in the manufacturing
in the
currently.
manufacturing, we just need curbing this one in the commercial zone.
Yes.
I would agree. We need to keep it smaller.
Smaller. So you could put just a wine bottling facility is allowed and limit its with a whole new definition of what a wine bottling facility is, or as Tammy suggested, putting in one that's a light versus a heavy manufacturing and allowing the light in general commercial.
Okay. Did she answer your question?
Yeah, if we come back, I'm not going to say anything else on the bottling plant definition unless we come back to that. And then
Okay.
just one thing that, on the parking requirement, can we reduce that ratio
I'm sure you can do whatever you want.
and make it 1 per 500 instead
Okay.
of 2 per 1,000? Sorry, that just. 1 per 500, which is the
She
same
does
as,
like the math.
I don't like it.
You don't like the 1,000?
No, I want it in its lowest form.
Okay,
That way it's easier to deal with. It's a school thing, sorry.
that's okay. 1 per 500 square feet, okay.
But in building, it's easier to do 1,000 square feet than 500.
It's easier to calculate if you just leave.
Any other questions? Thoughts?
Is this a go for you? Is
It's a long way from a go for me.
Okay.
This is the first step. Well, this is one of many steps. Obviously, I
Okay.
still have to see the city council, and there's federal license, there's a state license, and I don't feel I'm in a position to purchase this property until I'm sure that the state licenses. There's a potential issue with the group that meets in the former theater that I'm still working through, and ultimately the state will make a decision of whether to run this business in this location. And so there are several steps
Okay.
left to come, I'm afraid.
I had similar question to what we just discussed, the broader sense of bottling facility versus wine bottling facility. And I think for this purpose in making this work in a different zone, I would like to see us be as specific as we want, as we feel we need to be at this point, and not leave it open-ended as far as bottling. The definitions, I think that first one is probably as close as I thought it could get. I like the input that Tammy just gave to us. I think there's some blending of those things that could be done and further defined. But that's my input.
My only concerns with this is determining, you know, how do we know what is a reasonable decision for what's light, what's heavy? How do we make sure this could be differentiated between somebody else wanting to come in and do something on a larger scale? I don't feel comfortable with it until we've got a very clear line as to where that would cross over to force it into manufacturing rather than commercial. That's the fuzzy line I'm not seeing right now, personally.
I think part of that could be by how many square feet is applicable, like 200 to 2,500 square feet of operation. There's not a whole lot, I mean, that you could do as far as that is concerned, but I understand what you're saying for sure. One of the questions I had was, is the group in the theater so how far away from a church or park or any of that are we?
I'm under the assumption that is within the 600-foot limit.
Okay.
So the question becomes, I believe, ultimately, one that the state will decide, which is the last of the regulatory steps, unfortunately. But that's the group that will ultimately decide whether that is a building set aside as a church. And thus either grant or not grant manufacturing license from the state. I believe that's the body. I don't think the federal government has the same concern. The state.
Okay.
I'm operating under the assumption that's within 600.
Even though it's a leased building, it's not a permanent resident building.
Correct. That's my understanding of it as well. All I'm saying is that the state will decide that the statute that the state goes by requires that this group be in a building that is set aside as a church. Exactly what the state regulatory group thinks that means.
Okay.
I'm not sure how to predict. I would like to be able
Paul, could I get you to reach down and push that button on your mic?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sorry.
There you go.
like to be able to present, if I've given the opportunity, reasons why I think it shouldn't qualify and that it shouldn't be a hurdle for me, but that's another step down the road.
Yeah.
And if I may, if it helps to address the situation, Jill and I talked about a maximum capacity, I think today, of 2,000 cases per year, which is way more than I'm doing. A bottling equipment that I'm envisioning would bottle 4 bottles at a time. It's about this big, fills 4 bottles, and will fill a couple hundred an hour. At that rate, the entire process will take about 8 or 9 days in a year, meaning this is not something that's running 8 hours a day, 50 weeks out of the year. It would operate a few days out of the year in terms of the bottling.
Good. I think the only thing that we're trying to figure out here is when we make this code, how do we, for you, it's pretty simple, but have somebody else come in and come in under that whole thing, I think that's what we're trying to get our head wrapped around right here.
We need
So-
to look at the overall effect of this.
Yeah.
And be comfortable with what that is.
So my question to you, Jill, is if we give a recommendation to city council, do we have time to write the code?
Yes.
Do the code, to come to some kind of agreement so we can do a little bit more research on the code?
Yes. The steps are the public hearing by the planning commission. The planning commission has 60 days from the public hearing to take action and recommend. If within that 60 days there's no recommendation, then it's a negative, forwarded as a negative recommendation to city council. So we have 60 days from today.
So if we forwarded a positive recommendation with
With a definition.
conditions,
Yes.
do we have time to work on the code portion of that?
Before, yes.
So when would it go to city council?
I'm not sure I'm understanding. Are you suggesting that we send a positive recommendation with the code to be
With conditions?
Defined.
Yes.
later?
Can we do that?
I'm not
No?
sure I'm comfortable with forwarding a recommendation on a code that's not written that we can see.
I agree.
So maybe I was misunderstanding. I assumed you were going to forward it with a recommendation, positive recommendation, and then work on the code to go with it after. Is that correct?
That's what I'm thinking, but
Okay.
I'm getting some,
So are we looking for a definition for code? Is that step one right now?
yes, yes.
Is to create a definition?
I think we've kind of come to agreement on the definition.
So are we going to use what's our definition? Are we going to use the first one? Do we need to add other things to that?
So I think we're all in agreement that we're gonna call it a wine bottling facility, right?
Yes,
Versus a
I'm
bottling.
okay with that.
not blending, bottling,
So that's the first thing we're gonna do.
yes.
And I would take off plant. I would just say wine bottling facility.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jim.
No, I missed that, sorry. Say
You're
that
okay.
again.
We're going to
Wine
take
bottling
plant off.
facility.
Yeah, we're just looking at that first definition
Okay.
and taking plant off. These terms are
Planting implies industrial production facility.
generally. So are you okay with taking that off?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. These terms are generally interchangeable.
Okay. Cap it at an amount.
Well, what-
20,000? Is that what,
20,000 bottles? Okay.
That's going to be a little bit light for me,
light?
yes.
So you do more than 20,000 bucks?
I would like to,
Okay,
yeah. Wait, let me do that math backwards.
do that math backwards.
It's 24,000 if you do 2,000.
24,000.
20,000. 24,000 is what we had talked about.
Yes.
20,000 is also fine. Yeah, that would be fine.
On that definition,
Yeah, we need to
it says these terms, which terms?
Oh,
Is it
this was more of a,
Plant?
using the,
yeah, this was not like
We
a
don't want that.
official
Okay,
definition.
so,
This
so
was-
can we take off, these terms are generally interchangeable and refer to,
yeah, just,
and then just start a physical location or service?
Yes.
Can we start the definition there?
yes.
Okay,
Finished wine is put into bottles, corks, and caps labeled and packaged. Cases for shipping.
And where it says cases for shipping, can we also add, can we maybe change that to
To
for
20.
distribution or something? Because
okay.
if he's not
Containers for
shipping it, if
distribution.
somebody's coming to purchase it there, if we just
Cases
have for shipping, then that
for
eliminated
Containers for
Distribution.
distribution, sounds better.
And do you want to put that 20,000 or 24,000 cap in there?
or 25,000.
and packaged into cases
24,000.
of 24,000 or less for
Yes.
distribution?
That's fine.
Okay.
We're referring to bottles, not cases now.
Yeah,
Right.
bottles.
Okay.
So with the word bottles, is that, would you ever put it in something besides a bottle? Is the word bottle
Bottle
restrictive?
restricting, that's a good question.
I don't think it would
Like
restrict what I
boxes,
want to do.
would you put it in a box?
I don't think,
I'm
Bottles
just,
individual.
what you're doing, I don't think is gonna go in a box, but
yeah, I don't think it is either.
I'm not a big
Okay,
wine
somebody
drinker,
else
so
wants to come
I'll
in.
defer.
I know, that's
I
what I'm like,
suppose you
does
could
it go in
say,
a
or similar
can?
containers.
That's what I think I would add, or
Bottles or
or similar
similar-
containers, just,
You could even say similar consumer containers if you want to make sure that that's not.
Single
Just so that it
containers,
isn't restrictive.
single-use containers.
Yeah, single use depends on how thirsty you are.
right, exactly, yeah. So I would just say, or into
Bottles or similar containers.
Yep.
I don't know, we get, oh, shit. Not the time.
Okay.
Does that last sentence fit?
I don't think
I don't
so.
think so.
I don't think so either. So can we cross out the last sentence?
So you want to make it, right now I have a wine bottling facility is a physical location or service where finished wine is put into bottles corked or capped, labeled, and packaged into bottles or similar containers of 24,000, that doesn't make sense, or less distribution
I think you could just put the 20, like you could list.
list underneath, okay.
And I think you
What the
can
limits,
put or similar containers after bottles.
yeah.
Put
Bottles
into
or
bottles or
similar
similar
containers.
containers, corked or capped.
Bottles, cork, cap, or labeled.
And you have to,
Yeah.
you
Annually.
need annually.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
And you can make that into 2 sentences if it
Yeah,
gets too
for sure.
cumbersome, if you'd like.
Okay,
I don't know, I like to use commas, but that's just me.
Cindy will correct you. Yeah, we'll fix the grammar later.
and then the following restrictions would be the 20,000, 24,000 or less,
Yes.
okay, annually.
Annually.
Finished wine is to put in bottles, corked or capped, labeled, and packaged, not to exceed 24,000 bottles annually. Something to that effect.
Okay,
Do we want to keep the square footage regulation on it as well?
Yes, I think there needs to be,
We need to make sure we're doing this not just for this one situation, but we need to be thinking and looking more
So if we-
broadly, so we're not back doing this for every individual.
So if we go back up to the positive recommendation with conditions, there are 3 conditions there that we could add in to this.
yeah, the limited production part, I think we covered, right?
Yes.
Closed operations could stay, and the 24,000 or 25,000 square feet or less can stay.
Do we want to add from earlier?
2,500.
Or, sorry,
24.
There's a difference.
just a little.
so less than 2,500 square foot of operational area? Okay,
And up earlier, it says no external noise, dust, or odor. Do we want to add that in as well? That was listed up earlier
In-
under the
yeah, on the
second bullet
first
point.
page, these
Yeah.
items here, do we want to include any of those?
I actually like all of those, changing that 5,000 square feet to 2,500 square feet.
okay,
Can I raise a question on that point?
Yes.
Yes.
So there are 2 buildings on the parcel that would be involved with the wine portion of the business? The garage, what I'm calling the garage, the back garage, I don't have an exact size, but I think is about 1,600 square feet. And I think that's where I would envision all of the real blending and bottling to take place. But there would be then the package sale of that in the fire station, which is about 2,100 square feet. So depending on what part of this you're honing in and saying this is the bottling or blending, if you add those 2 buildings together, they would exceed 2,500 square feet. So I'm planning on having the actual operational bottling equipment only in the garage and having but I want to make sure that it would also cover whatever needs for package sales of the finished bottles from the other building. Combined, those would be in excess of 2,500 square feet.
So the garage would basically be the bottling facility.
Correct. But on that parcel, the parcel combined with the two or all three buildings is larger, and I would want to use some portion of the fire station for the
Once you get it bottled, the
retail,
boxes.
that's right.
For the
A counter and a
distribution.
checkout register and that kind of thing.
That's just
So does that
sales
fit
net.
the way we
That's
have it
just
written?
bottling it.
That's just the sales.
That would just be, in my mind, it would just be the sale, but I just want to raise that issue that
That's what I'm trying
combined,
to-
those two buildings will be involved in the overall business and would exceed 2,500 square feet.
So the storage portion of it, that would be in the garage?
Yes.
Or in the
In the
firehouse?
garage, yes. That will have to be bonded, and there will be locked where the wine before and after it's bottled would remain, other than, a handful of bottles that are in the package side of the
So out of
fire station.
the garage, so you bottle everything in the garage, bring it out of the garage, box up what you're gonna ship for that day or sell for that day, or,
Exactly.
and then, but the rest of it's locked up in the.
It's locked up in the
I
garage,
think
correct.
that,
And that's under 2,500 square feet, so as long as that's what you have in mind in terms of what the production is limited to, and that would not be a problem for what I would like to do.
So for production and packaging, 2,500 would be sufficient as long as it wasn't for storage.
no, I think.
For sale.
Just opposite.
Just the opposite. 2,500 is fine if that is for production and storage. But the package
Packaging.
might, depending on how we draw the lines in the fire station, together with the garage, exceed the 2,500 square feet.
So he would box up what he's gonna ship for the day or sell for that day in the firehouse.
Yeah.
But everything would be stored in the garage.
I just don't know how we work that into a definition clearly that's not specific for one individual only.
Well, to me, the bottling is taking place in the garage.
Yeah.
The sale is taking place in the firehouse, so the
But the
bottling
packaging
is
would still
still
be
underneath.
considered part of the,
Well, most of the
Process.
packaging
Well-
will be done in the,
Okay, so maybe I was confused. When I say package, I'm thinking of a state license that allows me to sell finished bottles
yeah,
as a retail sales. That's a
Right.
package license. The actual packaging,
yeah,
putting labels,
Yeah.
corks, capsules, and putting it in a box would all take place in the garage.
exactly. So
It's
he's
just that-
selling,
Based on that
I'm only
definition,
selling
There we
the
go.
finished
Yes.
product out of the
exactly,
fire station.
right, okay.
So.
this says operational area.
Yes, yep. So. Are we comfortable with those conditions?
I mean, would you want to give it just a little more leeway and say 3,000, just 500 more square feet? Just if the measurements of that building is, since he doesn't know, he said it's about,
Well, I think with what he's doing, I think if we
I'm
start.
comfortable that the garage, which is where the actual bottling will be under 2,500 square feet.
That's 50 by 50.
Yeah, that's,
From that wall to this wall is approximately 50.
okay.
so, yeah.
To give us here a reasonable feel for that, I think
Pills and medicine, so.
that's pretty good sized. And I'm thinking that garage is smaller than
I
that.
think it is.
I don't, 50 by 50.
If that's what you approve, tomorrow morning I'll run over there with a tape measure. And be back here to ask for 26, 28, or whatever.
Meeting over.
Okay. Is there anything else that we want to add into that?
Are we going to add all of those under that second bullet?
I think we do.
I think so
Is
too.
that what you guys are thinking? All
These
the ones are
bullet
the first
points.
definitions. Get rid of the 5,000, put 2,500 there with these others, the ABC and the positive recommendations.
What does compatible hours of operation
Limits
mean?
daily output,
That was the,
equipment.
Do you want a 9 to 5 or a 10
So
to 10 or?
what, can we just lose that? I mean,
We can
because our,
just-
our
yeah.
hours of operation, what is the hours of operation for business in the city? 9 to 5?
Have an hours of operation for business?
Quiet time after 11.
Yeah, I
I
guess it
think
just
there's just a
depends.
noise ordinance of nothing after
As long
11,
as we're
Noise
within,
ordinance
as
after
long as
10.
you don't have any rowdy parties.
because if they're doing like an art showing, it would be after 5 o'clock.
Right.
So I'm okay to take off that.
But during the art showing,
That's
there's
not
no.
bottling.
That's.
Right.
that's it,
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
There's no,
So it-
yeah.
Right, so the art and
Yeah.
the
Are the
retail
two
might be
separate?
open past 5 PM on
Yeah.
Friday or Saturday or something.
Yeah. Okay.
But not the bottling. I'm happy with whatever is typical.
Do we
Business
want
hours.
to put in there somewhere that there's no consumption? Because you're not drinking on the property, yes or
Yeah.
no? Did we?
A package license allows to have a tasting of up to 5 ounces per person per day, is my
Okay.
understanding, from the state. So the state will, I need 2 licenses, a winery or wine manufacturing license and a package license, which will only allow me to sell the products that are being bottled on the site.
Yeah.
And there is a tasting that's limited to, I think it's 5 ounces per day per person.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Yeah,
those
I guess what I
licenses-
was getting at is if we have an art showing and we're sitting there around and we're not cracking the bottle and
If it's open to the public,
Okay.
those are all limited. If it's a private event, then I think there's different rules.
different rules apply. Okay,
You could put,
so
follow
what
per
would you?
state code,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We could add state code regulations apply for a distribution license, is that what it is?
Well, that's a given,
Okay,
right?
Well,
Do you want to note it in the code?
If the state applies a restriction, then I have to follow that restriction.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know that we necessarily need it in our code, do we?
okay.
Okay. Okay, so what did we decide on the compatible hours of operation? Just lose that portion?
Scratch
I'm
that
okay,
one.
we'll just lose that.
lose it.
Okay.
So we're keeping less than 2,500 square feet of operational area, no hazardous materials, no heavy truck traffic, enclosed operations only, limits on daily output or equipment on daily output of 24,000 or less annually, and
On
no
daily,
external
so-
noise, dust, or odor,
Yeah, so change limits on annual output.
annual output.
It's annual, not daily.
Because you might exceed, I mean, if you're doing whatever, it might be, you might be bottling a whole bunch at one point in time, but it's never going to exceed that
Correct.
20, whatever's in a barrel. How many bottles are in a barrel?
300.
Future reference. Okay. Anything else?
I feel good.
And how many, 300 bottles for a barrel and how many for a case?
12
12.
bottles in a case, 60 gallons in a barrel, fifth of a gallon in a bottle.
I was just worried about the 300 bottles.
Yeah. I know what you're worried.
Okay. We all feel comfortable with that? Does anybody have any concerns? I mean, I know this seems like we're kind of going, maybe going a little fast. But I think we're covering all our bases.
Okay?
And we have had some time to think about it.
We have had some time to think about this one.
Well, and we're not really the final say either.
Yeah,
so-
exactly. It's still got to go to the planning commission, or to the city council. They can squash our thoughts or
Yep.
agree or disagree. Okay.
It was brought up about the approximation or location to various things, and it seemed like we discussed that before, and was that part of this code, or was that handled somewhere else in definitions?
That's a state code.
State code requires that, I believe, any alcohol-related business be at least 600 feet from a public space, which would include a church.
Park.
We did have some measurements from the church that's a block
Yeah,
west,
yes.
and I believe the way that it's measured is from the front door of the alcohol-related establishment to the property lines of the public facility, and I think that measured out at 683 feet or something like that. It's a state requirement. The city council, someone mentioned that there is a group that meets once a week in the former theater building, which I'm assuming is less than 600 feet. And the question then will, at some point, have to be answered whether that qualifies as a church and whether that will limit whether I can get the state license.
Okay,
But
that's taken care of by state regulation and does not need to be part of ours. Okay.
So he could do all this work and they would tell him, no, you
No.
can't have it there,
exactly.
potentially.
One other quick question. You were going to permit that in the general commercial zone. Do you want it in the light industrial and manufacturing, or just strictly general commercial?
I think people can come to us if they want to. I don't,
Sounds good.
Isn't bottling already,
Bottling plant is allowed in the manufacturing.
so I don't know why we wouldn't
I don't
put
know
it
if
there
I would
as
change
well.
it. I would leave it in manufacturing.
Doesn't make sense that we would not have it there if there's already
One
heavy
allowed.
bottling allowed there.
So add it to the manufacturing as well as general commercial?
I would.
Okay.
I think so.
Anything else, Jill?
No, that's good.
Council? All right. I would entertain a motion.
you've got the iPad.
Okay, so I will make a motion for a positive recommendation with conditions, with the new definition as stated previously. A physical location or service where finished wine is put into bottles or similar containers, corked or capped, labeled, and packaged into cases for distribution with 24,000 or less annually,
Annually.
with also the conditions set forth of less than 2,500 square feet of operation area, no hazardous materials, no heavy truck traffic, enclosed operations only, limits of annual output, and no external noise, dust, or odor.
And changing the
Oh,
parking.
and change, yes, the important part, and change the parking to 1 per
Change the wording in
500.
the parking.
Reduce your fractions, please.
And allowing in general
Oh,
commercial.
and allowed in the general commercial and the manufacturing one.
Yes.
Got all that, Dory?
We'll see. Don't ask me to repeat it.
Okay, we have a motion. Oh, go ahead.
Before we finalize that, the limits on the annual output as a bullet item, but in the definition, we defined them.
So do we need to take it out of the definition and just put it as a bullet item?
That's my
I
suggestion.
think so.
And
Should
the
we try it
motion says
again?
with that change of taking the 24,000 out of the definition and just putting it as the bullet item on limits on annual output.
Or I'm not sure we need a bullet item if we don't do that.
Yeah, no, I think there instead of the definition's great.
Bullet item emphasizes it.
Yep. No, I agree.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Wes, yes?
Yes.
I'm a yes.
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 Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully, everything works out. If not, we've already accomplished something tonight. Okay. Let's go to, number 5. Have we got Camas Building Commons folks here?
Yes?
Perfect. All right, let's go to number 5, public hearing for Camas Building Commons, Lot 4, requesting a conditional use permit for a height adjustment. Jill?
Okay. The applicant is seeking a height adjustment from 27 feet to 35 feet on parcel KAMC 4 at 158 West, 320 South through a conditional use permit. The lot is zoned for general commercial. All surrounding lots are also zoned general commercial with a non-conforming residential neighborhood to the south. The lots to the north and west are vacant, and the adjacent lot on the east is developed with a 2-story commercial condominium. Lot 3 to the northeast is also developed with a commercial retail business. The proposed additional 8 feet of building height includes a monitor barn roof style, and the applicant has indicated that it does not contain habitable floor area or an additional story above the proposed 27-foot height line. The Camas City Municipal Code 15.23.050 Conditional Use Permit Standards states that the Planning Commission must determine whether the proposed use or adjustment will mitigate the reasonably anticipated adverse impacts of the proposed use and comply with all applicable federal, state, and city standards, or conditions can be imposed to accomplish the required mitigation and compliance. Camas City Municipal Code 15.14.030 allows a 27-foot maximum building height as standard in the general commercial zone. That same code also allows that chimneys, flagpoles, church towers, and other similar structures in excess of 27 feet not used for human occupancy may be allowed on a case-by-case basis with a conditional use permit. While the building height standard is 27 foot, the increase to 35 feet for architectural design aesthetics only, which the applicant asserts will be unoccupied. The code 15.14.030 may allow such architectural elements to exceed height limits through a conditional use permit. The code also specifies chimneys, flagpoles, church towers, and other similar structures in excess of 27 feet. The proposed architectural design runs the entire length of the building, not a portion of the length, as would be the case with a chimney, church tower, or other similar structures. There's a lot of information on here on how it fits with the general plan of the city and its goals. It also talks about this mitigation, impacts of mitigation that need to be addressed, and the staff recommends that the Planning Commission decide whether the applicant's proposed height adjustment request meets the Camas City Municipal Code 15.23.050 and will mitigate any reasonably anticipated adverse impacts, and if it complies with all applicable federal, state, and city standards. If the Planning Commission approves the CUP, the staff recommends that certain conditions be set, such as the applicant certifies that the architectural design will not be non-habitable and that no new floor or occupied area will be added above the 27-foot line, that the rooftop equipment be fully screened, and that no signage or rooftop structures exceed what is shown on the submitted plans, the architectural design be constructed and maintained as shown in the elevations submitted, and that the approval is specific to the submitted plans and does not establish a blanket height increase.
You want to weigh in on this one, Scott?
She covered it.
Okay, with that, we will open it up for public comment. Seems how we know no public comment. We'll close the public hearing, and I will defer to this group for questions. And you are?
Tyler Dustin.
Tyler, okay, Tyler, okay. We may ask you some questions here, so.
Do you want me to pull up any of the stuff
Yes,
that
please.
we submitted?
You guys want to look at anything? I do. I would like to look at, just for reference, for everybody to pull up the, what was it, like the third drawing, the third diagram? If you open it up.
I
we'll-
think it's coming. Give me a second. Maybe. There it goes. All right.
That one will work.
This
Just-
one or this one?
Well, hold
Go
them right
up.
there a second, so we can ask questions, concerns. Tim, anybody?
My first question would be, as a conditional use, how can we keep talking about trying to get away from
Conditional use.
conditional uses and, you know, the purpose of the code versus always allowing something to go around the code. And to me, this is a lot bigger issue with our vision of Camas on height. You know, I can see a steeple, I can see a chimney, I can see, you know, a tall wall here on this end or that end. I'm far more concerned with an entire building being that tall, is my comment.
Okay. Because the conditional use addresses specifically those items that you're talking about. Chimneys, flagpoles, church towers, other structures that exceed the 27 feet, which obviously this clearly doesn't fit within those guidelines. Yeah. Tim? You?
Well, the part that I'd like to express, it, the staff recommended that we decide whether the applicant's proposed height adjustment request meets the code and it doesn't meet the code, so that's why there's the conditional permit request.
Yes.
Mitigate the reasonably anticipated adverse impacts of the proposed use. And I'm not sure that I'm not sure that I understand how changing the roof line to that higher will reasonably mitigate an impact. I think it adds an impact, it doesn't mitigate it, from my perspective. Now, that's how I'm looking at it, and comply with the federal, state, and city and other codes, which it doesn't currently do. So I'm having a hard time justifying it, in my mind, based on the understanding I have of mitigating as opposed to impact.
Jill, did we talk to council on this?
What do you mean by talk to council about, on this?
Our attorney, have they weighed in on
Yes.
any of this?
So originally, when this first came up, I asked him what was supposed to happen here, and that's when he told me that you have a conditional use clause in the code, so they can apply for a conditional use.
Okay.
And that's what he told me. Then I came back to him a second time, and he's like, yeah, that doesn't look like it meets the code. So he's kind of going both directions.
Okay.
My comments are just, I feel like the building could function completely without that additional height. It seems like that additional height's just aesthetic, and I have a problem doing a conditional use on something like that that's just for the aesthetics.
Tammy, you got anything? Any questions?
I'd be happy to speak a little bit to some.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what.
So, without that height, we would be doing some type of shed roof or a slight pitch. And we don't think that that's aesthetically as pleasing as this design, which reflects a little bit more of a rural character, as well as it's less compatible with the existing buildings which have gabled roofs also. So to insert, a shed roof or a flat roof into that setting, I think would just lack compatibility and be aesthetically much less pleasing.
The building to the right of it is just a pitched roof, correct?
Yes, a portion of it is, yes, that was added and, this, we're really here to speak to the height rather than the overall design, but to address that is an additional portion of the building which we thought would maybe feature more of a retail setting potentially with its own ingress and egress rather than a multi-tenant building. That could be kind of a premier space in the building.
So it's 2 levels, is that correct?
Two-level building, yeah, with the exception of that one portion of the building on the south side,
that
which you
south side,
identified.
I'm just been looking around. That's not what
And the
And-
buildings to, the buildings to the, like, can you show the other buildings, like Jan's building and?
I think there would be a better if I pulled up this video. Let me see
Yeah,
if I
there's
can
an
grab it real
animation that
quick.
kind of visually takes you through the project. Might be helpful.
Hold on, let me pause that and take it back. All right, here's the animation.
But what's that building right there?
So
Like,
that
the-
building's
that's the
just got a pitched roof.
Existing
Yeah.
building
Yes,
that's 35 feet
yes,
currently?
All of them in
both of those are 35. All
there.
three.
They'll have a pitch, single pitch. Jan's has this pitched roof. Not that design.
Correct.
That's the only one in there that has that design.
You mean Jan's is the only one with,
Jan's is even just a pitched roof.
So you like the look of Jan's and the other buildings?
Well, I'm just,
There's Jan's on the left
that
there.
adds the height. Right,
well, that
Yes.
building's 35 too. I mean,
that extra bump adds the height, it takes it out of the code.
Yes. Well, sort of, not really, actually.
Yeah, pretty
think
close,
if you
pretty
look
dang
at-
close.
It's a good portion of it.
Where are the elevations?
So if you take that top portion out of it, bring it down, you're pretty close, you're probably pretty close to code.
Right,
And that looks
there's,
like the rest of the buildings in there.
Yeah, and then if we were to flatten that out and remove that top section, it just really makes for a flatter, less architecturally appealing building and just gives it
you know, less dimension that we think, you know, having that, we think is just more pleasing and a better looking building. And it has a more barn-like look to it.
Okay.
So we're you know, and that also is likely to have a more cost as well, such as we proposed. Just bringing those two eaves together to a single point and eliminating that top can be done. But we've looked at that, and just think that it's just not as attractive of a building for that much roof line.
More questions? No? I would,
The,
go ahead.
the first floor is 14 feet,
Yes.
and so is there any compromise you can do there?
Well, we
Make it
figured the
workable.
floor section is about 2 feet between the first and second floor. And we'd really like to have as maximum of height as we can get in terms of clear height, for that flex use. And so, you know, yeah, we could squeeze it down a little bit, but, you know, the more height, the better. We think that's what that kind of use is ideal, with maximum height we can get. And then similarly, for a second level office type use, we'd like 9 feet height on the outside wall. So yeah, we could
Yeah, I
probably
see that.
squeeze it down a little bit and keep that roof element.
Still wouldn't meet the height requirement.
But yeah, 27 feet, the design, you know, in any kind of mild modification doesn't really work. We'd probably have to just switch altogether to some type of shed roof.
Wes? You got your finger on the trigger.
Well, my comment is that I don't see how we would consider this as a conditional use. Oh, sorry. I don't see how we'd consider this as a conditional use. It'd be whether or not our code is what we want it to be, because that's just my
I would
opinion.
agree.
It would have to be in my mind, it's a code amendment, not a conditional use. If we want to consider going back to 35, at one point, obviously it was. At some point before my time, it was brought to 27. I'm not quick to undo what others have done without a reason why. That's my opinion.
It's been low, it's been high, now it's back down to 27 for a reason, so.
I just don't see that, you know, the reasons listed for conditional use, this is an entire building. It's not just a one-off for a steeple or a chimney, so.
Kind of the problem with our code is, and it says other similar structures. So is this a architectural element that they're, like he's talking about, to try and make the, you know, like a parapet or, I can't think of another word. It's the similar structure that it's kind of a architectural feature. It's not adding, like he says, the habitable floor. So he's trying to use an architectural feature, and our code says that that it's a conditional use if we allow it. So, going back to Tim's comment about mitigate reasonably anticipated adverse effects of the proposed use, yeah, they're wanting to go up to 35 feet, and if we were to allow it, what would we want them to do to mitigate that? You know, we could, you know, say no equipment on top of the building so it goes higher, but we need to come up with things to mitigate if we allow this conditional use. And with the other buildings being 35 feet, I see it's kind of hard to say
That there's an
there's an adverse
impact.
impact to this because it's the same height as the other buildings. Now, if the other buildings were 27 feet, then we'd try to figure out some way to come up with that going to 35 feet could be adverse to this development. Does that make sense? Because right now it's a conditional use, and I guess the big question is having this architectural feet being the full width of the building, does that meet, it's kind of hard where it says, and other similar structures in excess of the 27 feet. So they're trying to do some architectural elements to the building, and not used for human occupancy, be allowed on a case-by-case basis. It kind of puts us in a hard position, the way our code's written right now. And I agree with Wes, it's probably something we need to change, but it's in our code right now.
So we got 60 days. This one just kind of got sprung on us. If you want to do a little bit more research, we're free to make a motion, whatever you'd like. Or we can put some restrictions.
I guess the
We're gonna be
hard
dealing
part for
with
me
it.
is some of it's 35 feet there, but you've got lots that are not developed. So it's hard to say, is that area, we gonna allow them all to be 35 feet and everyone's gonna have to be conditional? Because what, there's 2 more lots there?
Okay,
And one of them is Jeff's Camp.
so
So, which, you know, he has approached us and we've told him no before.
Here-
So, I think that is, you know, where it keeps going back and forth, I think that's a hard thing to do. But where it is more for architectural versus other ones that have approached us was for living spaces, that's different to some degree.
well,
Yeah, we've got a version, it's not part of the submittal, but we've got a version with just a straight flat roof from those edges. And I can guarantee you, you would not like the look of that as much as this. And so this is,
I don't think the design of the building's the issue, right? It's a nice looking building.
It is.
I can't even argue that with you. So you can go a couple of different ways. You can table it, or we can approve it with conditions, meaning, what, no living quarters.
It's not
Look,
for that, so.
You decide. But let's do something. You think?
What's your options if we say no?
again, we would redesign it with a lower, either a pitch, either a shed, slightly pitched roof, or just a long, lower angle, and probably move forward with that. And yeah, just think that it would really not be complementary to the subdivision, and especially on that entry corridor as you're coming in. It would just look like a big, very simple, plain building. So I think we could probably get some of the same functionality, and might have to rework it a little bit. But this being, at least on the east side of the subdivision, this comes out the furthest, and we think it has a lot of visibility, and we're trying to make it more of a signature kind of look for the entry corridor.
Would you be willing to let us table this and you bring us that other design so we can look at it?
Sure. Yeah.
So we could have a little bit more time to do some research and to see if we can figure something else,
What would the timing
would-
be on that, just with the end of the year approaching?
Well, if we have to have a meeting in December, we have a meeting in December, so.
Okay.
We usually
know,
have
do
a
you wanna
meeting in
see it?
December, don't we?
Not usually.
We may need
No
to
one
this
wants
year.
to come and see us in December usually.
One of the concerns that I have is if you go to 35 feet, you're right in an area right there where there's potential for a hotel. So do you draw the line, where do you draw the line? I mean, if they approach us, hey, we want a conditional use, because we'd really like to put a 3-story hotel in there, how are you gonna address that?
The stories can only be up to 27 feet.
We can
Everything
also say
above
27.
27 feet is non-habitable.
This is for architectural design.
So if somebody comes in and says that, and
There
they want a
is-
conditional use, there's,
Scott, there is a mixed-use option, an overlay here. We don't plan on utilizing that because we don't want to have any residential component in our building. But if you do go in under the mixed use,
It
I
is
do believe
35
it's
feet.
35. There was a previous approval on this lot, under the previous ownership for a main-level commercial and 2 levels of apartments, if any of you may recall. And, we took a look at that as well, running with that design, and we determined that you really can't get meaningful 3-story building height within 35 feet. It's just, it really compresses the ceiling heights and makes it really not desirable, either commercially or residentially. So that's why we kind of came back around to not utilizing the mixed use. And although I understand we're still seeking the same height, but kind of under, through a different door for different reasons.
Okay. Thoughts? To entertain a motion, one way or another, if we got other questions. Tammy?
I make a motion that we table this and do some more research and seek out some other, more information before we before I'm able to make a positive recommendation.
Have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. All those in favor, Wes?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
I'm a yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Now we go to, possible public hearing for possible amendment allowing to the code to allow panhandle lots within the Camas City. Jill?
All right. A Camas City resident recently approached the Planning Commission requesting a possible panhandle lot in the residential areas. Our code does not permit them. The Planning Commission and City Council decided to open further discussion. Panhandle lots could allow development on underused parcels within the city and possibly help with affordable housing needs. There are also potential challenges with emergency vehicle access, snow removal, long-term maintenance of the private driveways and shared utilities. The staff recommends that the Planning Commission forward a positive recommendation to the City Council with specific regulations to address the potential impacts. The possible code amendment that I have written up here is the one that is currently in our definition and under section 15.27.060, and all I did was take out that it is not permitted. So,
Okay. Scott, you gonna weigh in on this one?
nope, she's covered
And
it.
you're not very helpful tonight.
No,
he's got the good one at the end.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna get even. With that, would open it up to public comment.
Can you show or define what that means, what panhandle lot is?
I can look something up real quick.
She's got one, we'll have her pull one up right here.
Actually, let's see if I can find one in our city. That's not it.
Kind of the
Oh,
way
yeah,
the
there's
old,
a couple on Grassy Creek.
the
but I
old
know
city
there's-
blocks are laid out. It creates a great big park in the back that nobody wants to take care of.
This KT4D right here is a panhandle.
Yeah, that's,
Oh, sorry, I gotta share. Second.
so I'll show you here. No pressure, Jill.
I know. Nothing. There it is. Okay. This lot right here, sorry, let me move it a little. Oh, it does not want to do that. Stop it. But anyway, that lot right there is a panhandle.
You put the, so basically what it does is create the panhandle lot. There's enough room back in the back for another home. But there's not enough frontage. So what they're asking for is, if I have 130 or 140 or 120 feet of frontage, can I give you 20 feet of a right of way to access this back and put another home in the back? That's pretty much what it boils down to. Currently, no. And we've been asked several times for that very thing.
So who would, just like that front house typically own then that back panhandle, is that?
Yes. Well,
They own it to
It-
begin
it
with, and then
varies.
it is split for different ownership, separate.
yeah,
It's split, but they don't have full use of the property, that's what.
They're separate owners, so.
they,
Once you create
Well,
the
not-
panhandle, it becomes
A
a separate owner.
separate lot.
yeah, it becomes a separate owner. Yeah.
Once you sell.
So it- with their own
Well-
sewer, water, power, everything, it's just like a building, a regular house.
It doesn't have to be, it could be the same owner, but it would be two lots.
Two lots.
And so, I guess that's the two scenarios. It could be the same owner with a defined lot, buildable lot in the panhandle, and/or he could sell it, or it could be already owned by someone else.
So did you used to allow them in the past and then decided?
We did. It's been changed. It was a long time ago. Well,
22 or 23 years.
it's been a while. We're getting older. Tim is anyway. This
Any more questions?
is just you got the mic. Step up there and give us your name and
I'm Tarina Darcy, and I'm owner of one of the last developed panhandle lots in Camas. We built there 5 years ago, and I'd like to speak in favor of them. I don't believe my neighbors on either side feel that our building on this panhandle was a problem. The distances from their property lines and ours are adequate at 15 feet for each of us on every side. The height maximum of 27 feet has left us plenty of wiggle room. We have 12-foot ceilings on the main floor and an 8-foot ceilings in the basement. Our home is 2,200 square feet on the main with a 3-car, 900-foot garage. It's not the garage mahals in Francis, but it is adequate. Our sewer and water lines aren't onerous, even with our driveway that's 150 feet long. The width of our driveway is nice and wide. Utility trucks can pull in there and have plenty of room to negotiate, then they can turn around or they can back out just fine. If fire access needs more space, perhaps our fire trucks are getting too big for the current homes and driveways of our small community. The main body of our panhandle lot is 15,000 square feet. I believe 10,000 would be adequate, particularly for a starter home owned by people that don't share my husband's love of moving rocks and sifting dirt. Decreasing panhandle frontages to 82.5 feet might encourage smaller, more affordable properties. It seems that the days of back pastures have waned. I can see the need to allow shared driveways on panhandles that would provide access to single-family dwellings on properties that might abut each other, but if that is their only access. But I would discourage multi-residences being allowed on panhandles. It seems too much density. Our backyard is a multi-resident apartment building on the west, and we designed our build to not use that side of the house. But we have lost some of our windows to breakage, because in an apartment setting, a lot of people in a little space makes everything for everyone a little harder. In closing, one of the ways we can offer young families the opportunity to live here is to unlock the fallow land that is situated in these deep blocks behind current homes. Unbuildable land is worth less and only has value as a teardown to make way for a 10-10-10 mansion. And those empties do not help further the prosperity and future of our family community. I hope you will unlock potential land for the young to build starter homes on here as part of our community. Thank you.
I have another lot that we just brought. It's Catherine Crook.
Perfect, thank you. Okay.
Can you pull up that 520 North Main? This particular lot, we went in and talked about, we're trying to figure out for some of the kids in the valley what to do with. It's just about 2 acres right now. And it was on the Carl Smith family subdivision. And the lot that we're talking about is the big one in the center here with the blue outline around it. And it's approximately about 2 acres. The lot to the north, or I guess to the east and just the north there, which is Carlos's lot, is commercial. This one, however, I think we decided it's residential, or is it trailer park?
It's mobile home right now.
Mobile home park is how it's actually zoned right now. What we would like to do is basically split it for the kids, and they both are roughly about acre lots. We're having some issues for the zoning on this because we have some residential to the north of it, commercial in the front of it, manufacturing to the south of it. So we don't really fit any code or any zoning to do really much with this piece of property at this point. But this would be a particular situation where originally when they did this was probably about 25, 30 years ago, I believe. And they had originally were going to make 2 lots for both kids. They never really got that far. And over the years, lots of things have happened. But I believe the frontage was 46 feet is what we had on the frontage on the entrance. And that's what it was kind of cut kind of funny. It dives back just a little bit. But we would actually suggest that some of these panhandle lots that are bigger be able to give our kids the chance to be able to have 1 acre lots to build a house. Again, with this one, we're not really sure what to do, where to go with it. We don't really want to bring in the trailer park back to Camas situation, but we are kind of stuck with this great big piece of property, and we have 3 kids that could utilize it. So I think every situation might need to be particularly looked at instead of just categorizing all into one slump. Because as I came back, and it took me 25 years to come back to the valley to afford it, it's getting harder and harder to make sure our kids can stay. So if we can afford to do some of these things, especially some of these bigger lots, I just would like to have the commission look at each individual situation and leave it as an open invitation for the kids to come in and be able to do that.
Thank you. Welcome back.
Howdy, gang. Good to see you again.
Look what you started.
I know.
Good for you for being an advocate.
Yeah. My name's Casey Chestnut. I'm here to speak in favor of the Panhandle lots. I think they offer a really great opportunity for affordability for our younger generations. I'm also kind of slumping myself in a younger generation. I'm getting out of that, but I'm still in it, I like to think. And like what was mentioned before, a lot of them, I believe, will be from family. So I think it just makes even more sense to be able to keep our kids here. A few things that I thought that maybe we could do to incentivize it for you guys, changing the code. You could maybe limit buildings per acreage. So like 0 to 1 acres, you have one single-family home, single level, maybe a basement if they want to do 2 levels. Keep it low, keep it smaller, keep it affordable. I think it's a win-win. And it keeps us here, which is what I would like to do. So, I don't know if there's any like issue with orientation of the housing, like if backyards are facing front yards or any of that stuff, but. Hi.
You got a friend.
I got a friend up here. This is Nova. This is my daughter. She's very excited about the idea of getting to live next to Grandma and Grandpa. I didn't plan on this, but this is helping, I think, so we're gonna roll with it. That's all I really got to say. I think it's a positive. I think even if, say, just using this lot as an example, not what I'm gonna be doing, but even if we were to subdivide it, the subdivider decides to sell, and build another house back there for rent even, as long as it sticks to a small, single-family, area, I think it'd be okay even, so. Yeah. That's all I gotta say.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? If that's the case, I would close the public hearing and love to hear what my cohorts have to say about this.
Can I ask Jill, so
Sure you
I
can.
had a question on number 5 under existing panhandle lots. Did you get
Yes.
clarification on that?
I was not able to reach the attorney on that. I did talk to Scott, and he believes, and I do too, that it means line.
That it's a typing error?
Yes.
Okay. So if you go to number 5, it says, "The depth of the front yard shall be the distance of the front lie of the building." So
Line.
that's supposed to be line.
But before anything's changed, I will make sure we
Okay.
get Joel's approval on that.
Tammy,
I'm still thinking.
still thinking?
Well, I have to refer to my notes, hold on.
Perfect. We like notes.
Start with the west.
Tim, Wes?
Well, while she's,
Finding the
I
notes.
could address
Yeah,
a couple
go.
of things.
Yeah.
Number 1 refers to at least 20 feet of frontage. Number 2 refers to a minimum of width of 20 feet, and then defines the length. But further in there, landscaping shall be permitted in handles wider than 20 feet,
Yeah,
provided the minimum pavement width of
That was
20 feet
confusing.
is met. So we're talking 20 foot of width, and now in number 2, we're requiring a minimum pavement width of 20. And I think that's not necessarily the
Reasonable.
intent. And if it is the intent of 20 foot of pavement, we need to increase the width of the handle, because we definitely, in my opinion, do not want pavement right up to those property lines. So I think we need to address that. Later down in number 10, it says for any lot with a substandard access less than 20 feet in width, the owner will be required to provide additional approval by the fire department. Well, I don't think we want to approve that. That's not even
No.
appropriate.
that should be
Okay.
crossed out.
So
Okay.
those were the main comments that I had, and then, think number 7 says that it'll be paved with asphaltic or concrete. I think maybe once it said asphaltic product, but maybe asphalt is,
Asphalt
Enough
or
for that.
concrete.
Scott, I've got a question for you. On that 20 feet of paved, from your point of view, from an engineering point of view, is that sufficient? Is that too much? Is that more than would be required for?
That's, I think that's the, what the fire district would require, the
Okay.
20 feet. That's why. it's
20
the
feet paved.
20 feet, yeah.
Okay. So
That's
my
what they-
comment there would be then we would need to have, at least 26 feet of access width, so there'd be room for them to roll snow out of that without knocking the front neighbors' fences over and that kind of thing. I think, the idea, if you gotta have 20 foot of pavement, there's gotta be more than just pavement with, there's gotta be some room to wiggle.
Okay.
So my thought would be we'd have to at least widen the panhandle width to 25 minimum, in my thought.
Did you find your notes, Tammy?
Yeah, mine was number 10 as well with Tim, that we're not going to do any less than 20 feet, so just X that one out. Where did the other one go? Number 9, that says that it can be 1 story in height with the maximum height no greater than 27 feet above finished grade, but a basement is allowed, should be an option for people because they can have a basement as long as they're not in a flood zone or something. So I don't know why they can't have a basement. It's not required, but that was my thought on that one. And
Okay. I think we need to define finished grade a little better. I think last time we talked, it was road grade, road,
I would say the existing grade,
okay.
because we don't want them to build it up and then go 27 feet up.
That's what I'm saying, so from road grade,
They could build the road up, though.
I would say
from the
existing grade.
paved road. I'm just
So
saying, I've seen it in the town. You only tell me I can build a 6-foot fence, but if I build a 6-foot berm on top and then put my 6-foot fence on top of that, right? I'd still meet the letter of the law, probably not what we intended. So if I bring my finished grade up 4, 5, 6 feet and then put a 27-foot house on top of that,
That meets code.
it meets code, but probably not what we're trying to get out of this, I think. So I think,
so how do you say
I would
that?
like to see define,
It's hard to define off of a street grade, though, because they're going to be potentially 100, 150 feet away from that
Yeah, that's, because there could be
city
some,
street.
if they go back 100 feet, it could raise 1 or 2 feet above the edge of the road. So if they went 27 feet above the road, they might have to, lower their house a little bit, but it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But I think if you said existing grade, then, or natural grade, then I think you'd be covered.
I have a thought concerning that, and maybe using existing or finish is, so I went to a term called grade plane. And grade plane is the reference plane representing the average finished ground level adjoining the building at the exterior walls. And so if we, in this case, were concerned about keeping it in relation to what's around it, would we in our code want to say that it would be based on the average grade plane of the adjoining structures?
What do you mean by adjoining structures?
Well, the
Neighboring houses?
The neighboring houses.
But what
yes.
if your neighboring house, I guess,
It's on a hill.
if there's some slope to it?
but it's an average.
But it would be an average, so if there was slope to it and it was a grade, it would work out to where you were at that average. I mean, that's, if we're trying to
Fine.
keep it from being abused, that's one way of doing it, and that's a definable way. I'm not saying it's a perfect way, but it's a way that I thought of that relates to these. And the concern was, so, for example, in your area, it would be easy to define the grade of those houses around you, and that would not be a problem.
Right, I agree.
If you have a one-off that doesn't work, I don't know the answer to that. But there's gonna be a one-off for almost every code that we put together.
I think part of the
So
reason
that's a thought.
that they got eliminated to begin with was the height restriction. We didn't want a two-story house, he's building a two-story house in the middle of the backyard, and all the surrounding homes are one-story homes. It's kind of, that, I think that's part of the reason that they got done away with. So I think if we limit it to a single story, or this is saying 27 feet, I think that's a lot. 27-foot tall home is, we almost build a building, you can build a two-story building at 27 feet, pretty easy, right? So I would rather see it a single story with a basement. That's, my thoughts. And I kind of like the way Tim's, that grade, average grade of your surrounding homes, I think is fair.
But is that easy for the common folks to understand versus natural grade?
Natural grade, you call it natural grade, I don't,
I'm just
Well, we'll put it
asking.
in our definitions, and then it'll be defined.
then Scott can explain it to him.
So I guess the question, I'm just trying to think of, if you say it's the corners of the lots, because if somebody's house, because some of these lots, the houses might be a ways away, do you, I don't know, I'm just trying to think of the.
Average of the corner
the
lots.
compli-
What I think we're trying to get away from is somebody coming in, putting their basement above ground and sloping the ground up to cover my basement, right?
But looking at the screenshot, those are all pretty much on the same natural grade.
Agreed,
We don't have any on like
agreed.
the South
I-
Summit side hill or which,
And I limited all of that to residential one only zone. So there's, of course, ag, residential. and-
right, but we,
So all those blue places are potentially where we're gonna have a panhandle lot.
Yes.
Okay. So a couple of things that I think we need to decide. When you're talking about 25 feet of frontage, are you willing to negotiate on the 100 feet of frontage to get that 25 feet? Are you willing to go to 80 feet of frontage? So if I only have 120 feet of frontage, are you willing to negotiate on the 100 foot of existing frontage to get that 25 feet?
How long is a block?
30 rods, 494 feet,
494 feet?
17 steps.
30 rods.
This goes 474 feet or whatever it was.
So you're gonna end up with,
494.
494 feet.
so you end up with 94 feet of dead space if you go 100 foot of frontage. How wide's the frontage?
On these ones, I kept it to 120 feet, so that you could do the 100 and a 20-foot.
Right away?
Yeah, I didn't look at anything smaller, although there might be one or two that's iffy. It might have been like 117, 118, and so I included it just in case.
So previously, when they allowed the panhandles, did it have to be 100 plus 20? Or did they compromise the 100, did they compromise the 20 within the 100? Do we know that?
I don't know that.
That was a long time.
It was,
All those
it was
people are
100
dead.
plus 20.
It was if you were creating a panhandle lot, you had to have 20 feet of
In it-
panhandle, and then your regular building lot had to still meet code.
Had to still be 100.
There is at least one panhandle lot that is approved in Kansas City that has less than a 20-foot handle. So anything in the code we do probably needs to be separated from previously plotted to newly plotted, so that we don't mess, because that person came in a while ago and made sure that they were still
Okay,
Okay.
vested.
right, right.
The other thing to consider is some of these lots, like Kathy's talking about, 2-acre lots, are you willing to have one shared right-of-way, one shared driveway for the 2 lots? Because that's gonna be a topic to discuss here.
I don't know that that meets the definition of a panhandle
I don't
lot.
think it does.
Okay.
That'd be more a subdivision, correct?
So here again, are we willing to negotiate that 25 feet? So if I have 60 feet of frontage, I have 2 30-foot driveways coming back into my lot to 2 separate lots? Now I'm creating a panhandle lot.
That's two
I'm
panhandle
just,
lots.
That's two
that-
pan-
Well, that's
No.
what we're gonna do on a lot of these, is create panhandle lots. So with that, under your scenario, you'd be creating 2 panhandle lots with 30 feet of frontage, which would meet.
That'd be more of a city street with a cul-de-sac, right? I mean,
Well,
almost, I mean, you'd have that width.
Right?
yeah, you got 60 feet. 60 feet, you could have a city right away through there.
so I guess in this amendment, I'm for what we're talking about. I'm just trying to figure out some of the things that's gonna come up that we can eliminate now. Are we gonna stick to a hard 100-foot of frontage and 20 feet, a 20-foot right away? Because now we're saying 20 foot's not enough, we want 25 feet.
Sorry.
You're kind of talking about 2 different code amendments.
I know, but I'm talking,
I mean, do you want to get this one going and then talk about the other part later, or do you want to try and combine it and complicate it? I guess that's the question.
Yeah, because building is different than the lot being identified.
okay.
And I'm still very new at this, but Kathy's lot here, would it qualify because she doesn't have the 120 feet of frontage? She only has the 46, so would that qualify in this code? This is
So-
kind of what I'm,
It's already,
It depended on how,
it's already a panhandle, it's just a big one.
yes, true.
So, okay,
it's
So
a whole
I-
other animal.
it's a whole
Yeah,
other
It's a
thing.
one-off.
that's another day.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we need to address 20 or 25 feet. What's,
But we are sure that the fire department's gonna require 20 feet of pavement, so.
fire department?
So it doesn't give us the option of saying, oh, we can cut them back to 16-foot road width, just make sure we got 20 feet. But they've got to have somewhere to run their utilities, they've got to have,
Some other panhandle in the different counties said 20 to 80 feet, like they had, but they couldn't go any more than like 80 feet. That wasn't considered a panhandle when.
Yeah, it's
when it was more than,
considered
it would be a
That's
separate
considered
lot
lot.
at that point,
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you wanted to do 20 to 65 or 20 to 80, I mean, if you want to put a cap on it, I don't know.
No less than 20 foot.
I just don't know how we protect the homeowner in the front. Say, yeah, I mean, right now we're talking about this being for families, but
But
we all know
probably-
those sell off.
Yes.
If, you know, if initially you've got a 20-foot paved road back there and the children come build and move on, the people left in the front now, in order to fence their property and provide buffer so that that road has its room and utilities have room, it's gonna take more than 20 feet.
What do you
You
mean
just did.
protect the next
Well,
person. Have you
so
noticed the
say
Jersey
mom and
Carolina?
dad don't make them put a fence, but the new people come in and want a fence, you know, now you're gonna fence your right of way, right? It's no longer family anymore, as an example.
So take Trina, for instance, when if she sells that front house and the person buys it, puts up a fence
Yeah, on their
on
property.
their property,
Yeah.
and it's, now I got a 20-foot right of way, and now I'm.
You have to
throwing my-
maintain it 20 feet, and there's nowhere to move the snow.
My snow's gonna go.
There's
on
nowhere
her
to put,
fence.
there's nowhere to put your phone line, your gas line, your sewer line, unless it goes under the road.
Our road's a 60-foot,
Agreed,
but that won't always be that way.
It's not 60 feet wide.
because we're only talking 20,
Yeah.
the
So if we make
code's
a lot
20.
adjustment, that won't be that way.
Right. Okay, so let's address these. So we can wrap this, put this baby to bed.
Yep.
Number one, 20 feet of frontage on a dedicated public street. So are we going 20, 25? What are your thoughts? Fire department's requiring 20.
And they require the 20 to be paved?
They don't require pay.
No, they don't
That's us.
require pavement.
That's only in our code.
That's what we're requiring.
We're the ones that's requiring pavement.
Okay.
Yeah, I think in the county, they'll just have a gravel road, so.
So we good with number one, or are we gonna add it?
So I think we required the asphalt, so there wasn't dust people driving back between the yards,
Okay.
you know? So I think that's one of the reasons why we asked for it to be paved of some sort.
Okay,
So Scott, if we required we talked, last time we visited this about the lanes on a 2-lane highway and the width of what that is less than 20 feet. But if we paved, let's say 16, if we said you have to pave 16 feet, but you have to have shoulder out to 20 for the fire department, would that meet the requirement of them, in your opinion?
I think so. As long as it's 20 feet wide and it's not landscaped with boulders and things like that, I think as long as they can get their fire truck down through there, they shouldn't have a problem with that if it's 20 feet wide.
Because that's
That changes it a lot.
20 feet is quite
It is.
a lot of asphalt to access one home back there and to maintain it and then push snow off. But if you defined it as something less for pavement that's reasonable, and we could agree on with X shoulder profile, and then.
Keep the 20?
Just leave it at
But
20 at that point.
The
yeah.
problem is if the fire department wants to come down there with 20 feet on January 26th, you need still the room that you're talking about, Wes, for putting some snow somewhere. So I'm thinking we're narrowing in on what's really required and reasonable, but it seems like
But if
What-
they've got
20
land in the back.
How wide is the
can
highway
they
traffic?
Push
lane?
it, like, you're not gonna push it out to
12
the
feet?
public.
That's standard.
I wouldn't want to have to pave a 20-foot by 150-foot lane for a house, personally.
Agreed. I think now we're starting to take the affordable housing question out of this whole portion.
It's gonna cost us
But I
more for
understand
house
the
as a
dust
driveway.
problem if it's not your,
There's other ways to mitigate the dust. Mag
Okay.
water's a lot cheaper.
Can we add I mean, does it, where it has to be paved, could we add a gravel driveway there as well?
I-
Instead of,
I just
or
think
you
we
want it
put
paved?
maintain dust control. I don't, however you want to do that, but I don't know.
The chopped asphalt.
Okay, let's start at number one.
Okay.
20 feet of frontage. Yes or no?
Yes.
yeah, 20 foot of frontage, but maintain 20 feet of clearance with shoulders,
Okay.
meaning the fence or landscaping can't encroach on the full 20.
Okay.
Well, that says that in number 2. It says shall be permitted wider than 20 feet. They have landscaping. So that covers that for landscaping. You could put that 25 feet if you wanted. So they can't put landscaping right up, so then they could push out a little bit.
Maintain 25 feet of,
I mean, well, I think we have to maintain 20 feet of,
or
Right.
25.
for fire
25
clearance, yeah.
20 feet of,
But no
road and
landscaping
shoulder,
and handles
yeah,
wider
for
than
fire
25 feet.
yeah.
So do we need to take off
I
on,
think that's a separate issue than what number one's addressing. It's addressing the frontage,
Yeah,
Yeah.
not the width of the access or roadway. And I think we need to determine what we want for actual frontage to meet the requirement of the road, the
20 feet.
and the grooming on the sides or snow removal. So I
20
think
feet.
it needs to be more than 20 feet, because it has to be if you're gonna meet those other requirements. If you've got 20 foot of frontage, and that's what you define as your handle, you don't have, and you put at some point a privacy fence on your property lines, you just lost.
No, they can't infringe on the 20 feet. That has to still maintain 20 feet.
So, so then
where
they
you gonna
can't, so
put-
then they
where
can't
you
put in
gonna
a fence.
Snow.
They've
Push
got a
it out
panhandle, they
across-
can push it
Push it out
into,
of the
back into their
road,
panhandle.
There's a city ordinance about that.
Right,
that
so they'd have to push it into their
Some
panhandle.
of us break occasionally.
I never do that.
If 25 feet seems to work better, then let's change it to 25.
that seems really wide.
Seems just really wide to have to
I-
put more
I-
But I don't
asphalt in.
but I don't push snow either, so.
Because then they're gonna have to pave it.
Well, you're gonna lose 6 to 8 inches even on a vinyl fence. So that means the person that sold the lot to the person in the back has to eat the fence. They have to go on their side of the line. Does that make sense? Because we're
But
pushing it that
isn't
tight.
landscaping and fencing shall be permitted in panhandles wider than 25 feet? Like, you could change that so that they can't put the fence right at the 20 foot, they can't infringe on that 20 feet mark.
But if all they were given in that lot is 20 feet, they can't even, that means they can't put in a fence.
Exactly.
So
But what if I
can we
want a
just
fence?
not put in there
That's
that
not
we
an
have to
option.
maintain
be
a
nice to
20-foot
neighbors.
wide driveway? They have to maintain a 20-foot wide driveway. If they choose to go 25 feet, if they choose 20 feet, then they're responsible for their own snow removal to push it wherever. Because I think if we start going 25 feet, we're gonna get into frontage issues. If we're truly trying to make this
Affordable.
affordable, I totally agree with what you're saying. But we gotta, are we adding restrictions we don't need? If we just put it as maintain 20 feet of 20-foot driveway.
Rex, can I just mention something to your point? So let's go back to this 494 feet is 30 rods. Half a block is 15 rods, which is 247 and a half feet. If the current width is 100 feet of frontage for a lot, then that would give you essentially about 2 handles at just over 20 feet to do panhandles.
Yeah.
And that seems to me now, if I'm a guy selling a panhandle, and I want it fenced, I guess I would put it on my side so that I can fence it, right? I mean, if I owned the handle on the back, I'm sure I'd care if it's fenced. It's really for the privacy of the guy driving by. Maybe 20 is reasonable for now. I'm just saying that seems to fit the,
The math doesn't work for 25.
no, because you're 2.5 feet short. I'm just saying the math. You guys do what you want, let me come to the city council, but from that perspective, math perspective, it doesn't work at 25.
Maintain 20 feet.
And again, we're not the final say, so I
Yeah,
think that
well,
for
20
us
feet of frontage and maintain 20 feet of road.
20 feet of road.
So did we just
Landscape
change?
cannot
20
encroach
feet,
on the
I gotta
20
push
feet.
my-
Same thing.
My road 20 feet wide.
Okay, so will you tell me how number 2 reads, please? With our changes?
We're just barely getting number 1 done. 20 feet. Lot has to have at least 20 feet of frontage on a dedicated public street, and frontage serves as access only to the parcel. I guess number 2, we could make that say that we have to maintain the 20-foot. What do you want to put that there? So let's leave number 1 alone. Fair?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Number 2, leave number 1 alone. Number 2, the handle portion of the lot is a minimum of 20 feet, we decided, and not more than 150 feet in length. Okay? Landscaping shall be permitted in handles wider than 20 feet, provided that a minimum pavement or, are we gonna pavement?
I would cross out that after provided. I would cross that whole last part off if we're gonna not require pavement.
Well, but you still gotta maintain the 20 feet of, if you put landscaping in, that can't be in your 20 feet of right of way.
Okay, so how do we change that wording then? Provided,
Cross out pavement.
Maintain
cross
a
out
minimum
pavement.
of
Width
20
of 20
foot
feet is
road width.
Provide the minimum road width of 20 feet first is met.
So just get
So get rid of
rid
pavement.
of pavement.
So Rex, when the fire department requires that width, is there any requirement, because like, not everybody maintains their driveway the same as someone else, and maybe the pavement's there so that there's at least some standard for the fire truck to get back there if need. Just throwing that out as a thought, maybe there is some reason for some asphalt, because again, not everybody maintains their driveways the same, and at least there would be a standard for safety. Just throwing that out there as a thought.
Those people are probably not gonna maintain their pavement either.
Well, but at least you won't see
Say it. Okay.
like, or have
I'm
runs or-
okay, let's keep going. We can leave the pavement in.
And we can, between now and the city council, we can verify with the fire
With the
department what they
fire
want.
What their zip code is, okay. So let's leave 2 alone?
You gonna leave pavement in?
For now, we're gonna check with the fire department. Just, I mean,
120 feet of pavement, 150 feet wide. We can have a paved driveway or build a house.
You can't have both.
Can't have both.
You could reduce the
you could reduce it to 10.
See, that's what I'm wondering, if you go back to that 16.
I don't think the whole 20 feet would have to be paved. I think there just needs to be a surface. A maintainable surface is the thing. I mean, say you've got 4 feet of shoulder on each side of a 16-foot paved lane, it still allows, some people to pull off the shoulder and pass a fire truck
So-
and a,
20 feet wide, not more than 150 feet long. Landscaping shall be permitted in handles wider than 20 feet.
minimum
Provided-
pavement width of
Do you want to change that, provided the minimum pavement width of 16 feet is
16
met?
feet.
16? 12?
The whole point
16.
of that is to say that if you're gonna landscape, you.
It's gotta be
keep that-
outside of that.
It's gotta be
feet.
outside of the 20 feet,
Yeah.
so I think if you just put the minimum,
Okay.
Pavement width.
I don't think we want pavement if we're not gonna require 20 feet
No,
of pavement.
pavement's specific about,
Pavement,
Pavement.
it's road surface.
and that's not what we're saying. We're saying road, access width or roadway width.
Go for it.
Wasatch and Southern County require 14 feet minimum of pavement. That's like the standard across the counties
Yeah.
for the fire department. I don't know about Kansas City's, but that would be a pretty, and then the other part has to be non-trackable. It has to be a car that has to be driven on, but 14 is standard for pavement.
Okay,
Perfect. Put 14 in there.
so let's put 14.
Okay, I'm gonna say it. Are we still requiring pavement or are we doing a hard surface?
We could define the word pavement.
Pavement is asphalt road
Yeah, I prefer a
or
hard
concrete
surface.
surface.
I don't,
Hard surface. Hard surface compact. Road.
Okay. Thoughts? Pavement?
Then- Other than we
No.
look, just look, More like Hicks.
Let's leave
We
it.
let all these
I would just say
panhandlers
maintain,
14-foot
I don't know.
Different by mine.
pavement, totally paved. Okay, 3. Is we good with 3? Everything good in that one? Will zone the area of the handle shall not be included in the minimum of the lot requirement, home shall,
Yes.
accessory building shall not meet. Agreed. 3 is good.
Yep.
4, the handle shall be free from any obstruction such as but not limited to fences, ditches. Agreed.
Yep.
Good. The depth of the front yard shall be the distance of the front line of the building and the property line nearest the fence of the right-of-way or handle which the building faces. Agreed? Then we got rid of lie and got line?
Yes.
The panhandle shall not access a street by means of its own right-of-way. No, I'm on 6. Each panhandle lot shall access a street by means of its own right-of-way handles. Okay, so we're not sharing right-of-ways, right? Okay. The handle of each lot shall be paved.
I
Leave
don't,
it.
I thought we decided not to do pavement.
it is contrary to what we're trying to do to provide affordable places to build. I'm just not sure what the fire department's take would be on that.
Okay,
If
let's,
they're okay, I would take it out, but that would
Let-
have to be checked.
okay. Let's leave it. When does the city council meet? Next Tuesday?
Yes.
I'll have an answer for you by then.
Number 7.
Okay. A fire hydrant must be located within 250 feet of the residence located on the panhandle. Okay, good?
Yep.
The home and accessory building shall be a maximum of 1 story in height with the maximum height no greater than 27 feet above finished grade. Anybody besides me got heartburn with that? Can we just limit it to a 1-story house?
It does say
Yes.
1 story.
I know.
But is a home with a basement's more than a one-story home, right?
No, because it's
One
not gonna,
story above ground.
yeah, it's above
It doesn't
ground.
say that. It just
Basement
what
is
it
a
says,
basement.
though.
You don't measure that.
But if that's what we want, we probably need to say it.
put 1-story
It needs
home
to be
with a
clarified.
basement.
Basement doesn't count as it somewhere 1 story above ground. Because I have a 2-story home behind me and I don't love it.
Maximum of 1-story height.
And mine is 27, but I have a basement. And my
27
height is not
height.
included.
Bother anybody
Basement.
besides me. Are we good with 27-foot height? Yeah. If you put a house with a vaulted ceiling in it, what's your house, Matt, with a vaulted ceiling?
27.
It's not necessarily vaulted ceiling inside, it's the architectural design of a 12-5 pitch or 5-12 pitch or a 9-12 or whatever people use in that really can. Someone can speak to that better than, maybe, but I can, but I think 1 story above ground is a pretty decent definition.
I do too. 1-story
Yeah.
above ground.
As long as you have the finished grade or the natural ground, however that's defined well enough to mean the top of the foundation.
1-story height, 1-story in height.
Do you have a basement?
But you should allow for basement.
One story above ground, but may have a basement.
1-story above.
But do we have to determine how far out of the ground that basement can come at that point?
No,
Assuming
because if
it's
it
not
comes
a
out,
basement,
then
or
that adds into
basement's
the,
not allowed because that was part of the plat.
Okay.
like
So,
if you had a
finished grade. So
rambler,
we're going
that adds
finished
into
grade.
the
Okay.
27 feet. You can't do that. That's not,
Finished grade or natural grade?
finished.
Scott, finished grade or natural grade?
Or grade plane.
Or grade plane? Finished grade,
I
natural
think we
grade?
just leave it when we'll fix it with our definitions when we add that. If we go with the grade plane or natural, existing, whatever.
I'm just gonna scratch it, and we're gonna put natural grade right there. Okay?
And we're adding basement,
Define it later,
nine.
and then we'll define it more
Yeah.
specifically.
Basements allowed?
Is
Yes,
that in 9?
1-story height with a basement allowed.
With a
Pre-law
maximum
substandard
height no
less
greater
20
than
feet in width,
27
shall
feet,
require additional-
natural grade.
So are we gonna just scratch 10 altogether?
Yes. That
Yes.
makes sense with what we're doing.
10 is gone.
Okay, scratch 10. The owner of the panhandle lot shall be responsible for construction, maintenance, and repair of the private access road?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Utilities. These end lines shall be
Not
contained
changing
within
this
the
one.
handles, that's, okay,
We're scratching 10,
shall be responsible for
and 11's
construction.
unchanged.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
12's unchanged.
All right. Got all those, Jill?
I believe so.
I'll make a motion.
Just,
Well, hold on, wait. I like your response. What do you got?
I don't see a definition of natural grade in our definitions.
You're gonna leave it at finished grade?
Well, if we're
Let's
gonna
finish
address
it,
it later as we do those, it has to.
Leave
be
it finished grade.
Okay.
Leave it at
That's
finished grade,
the
and we'll
intent.
address it. Okay, fair enough. Okay, all right. Now,
I would like to make a positive recommendation to the Camas City Council for the proposed amendment to allow panhandle lots with the changes outlined in the code. Yep. As noted per Jill.
so if you have any questions, Tori, this is what we just said. Okay, have a motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, Wes?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
thank you. Okay,
Next one.
that was almost painful. Took longer than I thought it was gonna take. All right. Next on the agenda. Whoops, that's not my agenda. I don't know, I lost my agenda, so we gotta go home. I found it, sorry. Okay, let's go to number 2. Public hearing, Ballerina Farms requesting possible code amendment to reduce the wetlands in the AG tourism, ag tourism zone. Jill?
Yes. I'm not sure if you guys, I'm going to read this staff report, but do you want me to kind of combine these two together since they kind of go together and they're both here to address everything separate?
Yeah, we need to address them separate.
Okay.
They're 2 different public hearings. Thank you.
All right. The property located at 1476 West 200 South was zoned agricultural tourism in September of 2024. The applicant is proposing development on the property that would be restricted by the current wetlands buffer requirements. They are therefore requesting a zone amendment to reduce the required wetlands buffer from 50 feet to 15 feet within the agricultural tourism zones in city limits. The Army Corps of Engineers does not mandate specific wetlands setbacks. It does require developers to avoid and minimize impacts to wetlands when planning a project. Any specific setback requirements for wetlands are enforced by local governments in the state of Utah. Our Camas code regulates the setbacks for wetlands and stream corridors at a minimum of 50 feet outward from the delineated wetland edge. There are several pros and cons to reducing the wetland buffer. Pros, they allow for greater land use of land. They expand the buildable area. They may increase property values, and they reduce costs to developers. Cons, they may lead to increased runoff and degradation of water quality. They reduce habitat for wildlife. They may also increase local flooding, downstream erosion, and infrastructure damage. Several of the counties and city standards that I have looked at vary anywhere from about 20 foot to 100 foot for wetland setbacks. The staff recommends that the Planning Commission consider reducing the wetlands buffer to 20 to 25 feet with the conditions that all permanent development, including buildings, parking lots, greenhouses, et cetera, not be allowed in the wetlands buffer. We also have a letter from Paul Berg, their representative, and images of the current setbacks and the proposed setbacks, as well as a code amendment that they provided for 15 feet in the ag tourism zone.
Okay, Scott?
We worked on this together, so we're good.
Take an easy way out tonight, aren't you? Wow.
Scott,
We did.
Scott has, it's obvious he's given some previous input to this. Thank you, Scott.
He has. You just gotta give him grief. Okay. This is a public hearing, so we would like to hear from the public if you would like to weigh in on this. Reducing wetlands buffer. Whoop.
Yes, I'm trying to
She's
pull it up right now. This is,
Obviously,
With
she's
the
not
current
quite as
50.
tech savvy as our grandkids.
exactly. This is with the 50-foot setback.
So what's buildable is just the light gray inside.
Yes. The green is the wetlands, the striped is the setbacks included. Let me find the 15-foot. And that's the 15-foot.
That's 15 feet? Mm-hmm. And that's what they're requesting is 15
Yes.
feet. Substantial difference, of course. Anybody want to wait?
Off of 248.
Yes, this is right off of 248. You want to come up and address this? You got,
Chairman, my question is, would you rather hold the public hearing first before you hear from the applicant? Do you want to hear us now or just part of the public hearing?
now, let's hear it as part of the public hearing, and then we may call you back up here.
Paul Berg with Berg Engineering, representing Ballerina Farm. First of all, thank you for adjusting your agenda to allow me to attend a family event this evening. Thanks. A few key points that I'd like to point out is, one, our proposal is only for the ag tourism zone. We're not proposing to change the setbacks in your other zones, industrial, residential, just in the ag tourism. As pointed out earlier, the Army Corps of Engineers, which is the federal agency responsible for wetlands, does not require additional buffers. They just restrict development in the wetlands. The impact on this property, you can see because of the odd size or the odd configuration of the wetlands with a 50-foot buffer, 4.98 acres is included. If we go to a 15-foot setback, there's still a 1.63 acre buffer. So in an agricultural project, trying to develop this as ag tourism, if all of a sudden we're losing almost 5 acres just to a buffer around wetlands, it makes it difficult to now have the creamery or some of the other agricultural uses that we want to have is also part of the tourism part. So that's why we're asking for a decrease. Jill's given you a chart of other cities. I just want to throw a few more in. East Summit County is 50 feet, similar to yours. Same with Wasatch County. Heber City is 20 feet. Midway is 25. There are other means of protecting wetlands so that some of the runoff concerns can be mitigated even with a smaller setback. So I agree that can be a con with going to a smaller one, but there is ways to protect those.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, and I'll answer any questions that you have or the public has after the public
Okay.
hearing's over. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. We will close the public hearing now and bring it to the commission, or the council, or commission, whatever we are today. Wetlands. Okay. Thoughts, questions, concerns?
So I asked Jill to put in the original site plan. To put in the original site plan because I was unsure of what we were given to what they're asking now. And as you can see on the original one, the wetlands aren't appearing as defined as the map that they gave us now. So, in a way, this is a site plan they gave us with already 15%, to some degree. I don't know that. As you've watched it develop out there, I'm not even sure what they're doing out there is matching that site plan, honestly. So that's where I'm confused with what is really going on. Because as they've put, you know, I don't see any parking lots going in, I see greenhouses going in, I see like things, dirt's already moving and stuff. So for me, I don't, I'm being a farm girl and having wetlands and you have to just deal with it. It saves a lot of land upstream and downstream if you don't take away those wetlands. I might be talked into 25%, but I'm definitely not going to 15. So.
Okay.
That original layout was based on a prior wetlands, because those are defined, how
But do you
many
think
years, Scott, do they
that-
come back and define those?
Well, if they get something approved by the Corps of Engineers, they take a wetland delineation and take it to the Corps, and the Corps says we agree with that, it's good for 5 years.
5 years.
But once you're built upon it, it's
Yeah, once you take out and do your improvements,
it's done. It's not like they can come back 5 years later and say, oh,
No.
get rid of this building, because it's, right,
once you go through and do your improvements.
delineation, you're good.
But if you don't do any improvements and haven't made any changes to the property, then the wetland delineation goes away and you have to start over.
But this map delineates wetlands, not buffer.
Right, that's what I'm saying, but
They updated that map about 2 years ago, so it changed quite a bit, the wetlands did.
well, this is supposed to be 2024, so. I don't,
24.
I can address that if you'd like.
Go ahead. Feel free.
So we had an original wetlands determination by Bowen and Collins, which was this smaller one. Then it went through the core process that Scott just described. After the Corps went through it, they asked several questions. Bowen and Collins then went back and redelineated it, and it increased by quite a bit. So when we put this concept together for the annexation, it was a lot less than what we're dealing with now.
The original one was Bowen and Collins, July 23. The updated one is in 24. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So the updated one did increase based on
That's
the
right.
Corps'
Yeah,
input.
yeah. I'm not sure why the first one was so far off, but
Yeah.
it's one of the, we've been having to deal with it with the site planning as much as you have, but yeah, it's a big issue.
Well, I think many of us that have lived here a long time have seen that whole
Yeah, that
property
whole
be a
thing is
lake
swollen.
before in high water, so I'm not surprised, unfortunately.
Okay.
So, and then is there a new map that you put in today? Yeah, that one right there. So that red, is that 50 or 50?
That is the 50.
That's the 50, that's original 50. Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Is that one in the wetlands or in the other one?
Yeah, it's in the wetlands. It just came in today.
Yeah, she just put it in. There's 124, one. Master plan is the top one.
Yeah, that's not.
Any other questions, thoughts, concerns? So,
That's the one from 2024.
Go ahead. Jim?
That's not that one.
This doesn't apply directly to this, but when reviewing our existing requirement on wetlands, the 50 feet, it now talks about the 50 feet from the wetlands and 12 feet from rivers, streams, and canals, et cetera.
Right.
And all these other comparables are significantly larger than that. I'm seeking some insight of why that is so out of balance with what I'm seeing everywhere else, and if that's something that we ought to address. And there is a stream going through there. So it may have effect on this, but 12 feet seems very small to me. Do you have any insight on that, Scott, or recollection of why that would be such a small setback in our town? Yeah.
I thought the streams was 50 feet also.
There is one part in the code where it,
No, it says
12.
12 feet. And I don't, that's something I think we need to address. And I don't want to derail our major concern here, but I think it runs parallel with it.
I think the biggest thing is, like with wetlands, you can see that they thought they had more property than they had usable. So the Corps came back and said, hey, you've got this many more wetlands, a property that you own that you can't use. And so I think the balance is trying to find, protecting the wetlands, what kind of buffer do we have? People that require 100 feet, that's a lot of property you're taking away from somebody being able to develop. That would, if we had 100 feet, you probably wouldn't be able to do anything on this property. So I think that's just trying to, the city, when they set this up, they tried to find a balance of, we want to protect the wetlands. And it's kind of, wetlands are kind of funny. They said that are wetlands, but when I think of a wetlands, I think of reeds, water, something that, ducks could go hang out on. This is just wet ground because it's got the water, it's got the soil and the vegetation, so it meets wetlands. But as far as something like you see, next to a lake or something like that, it's not, I don't know. So I think the city was just trying to, when they set that up, say, let's have a buffer, and they set it at 50 feet, and some, go smaller than that, just so that you're not taking so much of somebody's property that they're able to use. And as far as the stream, it's, if it is, I guess it's 12 feet, that's, how far do you need to be away from the stream, as long as you're way out of the, if it's out of the floodplain. That's kind of, we don't have, we have Beaver Shingle Creek that goes through us, but, as far as like, more of like an irrigation type ditch where this, 12 feet's probably enough setback from something like that.
and I found it here in the code, and I think it is referring to the canal.
It includes the canal.
The screen corridor, including the Provo diversion.
Okay.
Okay.
So, any other questions?
I just have one more question.
Fire away.
On the, yep, that map right there. So with the way it's laid out, maybe you can answer this question for me. So I have the red mark, which is the 50. Did you place everything there assuming it was 15? So like you've
No.
got raised gardens right there up at the top that is sitting right by that green?
So the interpretation that we received when we met with staff is that setbacks under the current ordinance, the 50-foot ordinance, apply to buildings. So walkways, parking lots, non-permanent structures like these raised flower beds could be in the 50-foot setback, but as long as we kept the buildings out, that we'd be fine. So that's what this plan is based on.
Okay.
So that's why you see, some sections of parking, some walkways in the garden beds, not a permanent structure in the 50-foot setback.
Okay.
And Scott and I both talked to Joel about that, is where
Right.
we got that understanding that permanent buildings were not allowed, parking lots, the greenhouses were okay.
So
Under the current
pavement,
ordinance.
pavement is not a permanent structure.
That's what we talked to him.
It's from your city attorney.
That's,
Yeah.
that's kind of why, that's why we're here, is because it's vague.
Yeah.
And so we were thinking if we reduced it to like the 15 feet, we could say, you have 15 feet or 20 feet, whatever it is, and you have nothing. It's a buffer, and we can't, do parking lots, we can't do the raised stuff. So that's kind of why we're here looking at this, right?
Right.
Because it's, with the 50 feet and with the attorney interpreted it, you're putting stuff in there, and it's kind of
Parking
defeating
lot
it.
fits that
Yeah,
portion.
so if we reduced it and we went to something smaller and said nothing there, it's just strictly a buffer, then that would make, I guess, our jobs a little bit easier.
Somewhat related to your question and your question earlier, the greenhouses are based off of this plan, and they've gone through, I hope, a separate permitting process.
I haven't seen anything yet.
All right.
That's a whole different discussion, right?
They're based on this plan.
So, just sorry, one more question.
Go ahead.
So the wetlands out there, Scott, is it just soggy ground, or it's not even soggy ground? It just qualifies because the water table's so high?
There are three qualifications: the type of soil, the presence of groundwater, and your vegetation. We meet all those. And yes, it's not the type of wetlands that Scott was describing but it does meet the Corps' definition, and our wetlands, this delineation has been approved by the Corps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like in a pasture, you always have like what's, that always will,
Right.
the water will drain to it, that's wetlands, and the cows love that.
Yeah, there's several species that they look
They
at,
just
and
kind of-
we meet the
Type of
requirements.
Just that
vegetation,
higher
yes.
water table?
This valley is a meadow.
It is, yeah, huge meadow.
Then they put the canal through it and screwed everything up.
And that's a whole other discussion. Stay focused.
For another day. Focus. I'm trying to stay focused here. Okay. More questions?
One last question.
Fire away.
So Scott, you said that it helps you and Jill if it goes back to 15 feet. Can you explain that?
Well, if we change it, we say that we're at 15 or 20 feet, and you can't put anything in there, not just, the other interpretation we had, they could do the parking lots,
Okay.
the not permanent structures. So
Okay.
if we change this, we said if we're going to change this, we're going to put it so you can't do anything.
It just draws a hard line.
It draws a hard line. So that's,
Okay, thank you.
instead of us saying, well, parking lot, what about this? Can we have an overhang over it? Can we do this? You know, it's,
Right.
you can't do anything. So-
Okay, thank you. I'm done, Rex.
No, you can.
So I have a question. If the request was for this particular zone, and from our standpoint as a city and planning commission, is that how we want to approach it? And does it make it work for us, or do we want to have one common requirement for all wetlands regardless of zone? Because we're gonna be addressing another one about property across the street that would be putting this into this zone.
That's what I'm trying to,
And so
You-
my question is, do we, I know that was their request for that, and that makes sense. They're not saying, hey, we want to change your whole city thinking on this, but we do want you to consider it for our particular property. But from our standpoint, do we want the consistency through the whole city, or do we want it to be by zone?
I would suggest the whole city.
And that sheds a little different light to my thinking if that's what we're doing, because we have other circumstances that would be a little different than this, with their wetlands being different than what's being described here. We have that throughout the city. And so that's something I think we need to consider as we look at this.
But if you just wanted to do it for the ag tourism zone, we could do that too, but I think it would be good to keep it consistent throughout the city.
And that's a fair point. One of the reasons that we thought you could consider it in the ag tourism at least, and maybe other zones, is we will go through a very defined site planning process with you. When you approve subdivisions, you don't get into the details about the house plan that then goes on that lot. And so a larger buffer, like a 50-foot buffer, maybe provides an extra measure of protection, whereas that may not be needed in ag tourism, a commercial or industrial, because we go through such a detailed, not only site planning review with the city, but then also the inspection afterward. So it's more just your level of control. This is why I would argue that you don't need one standard for every zone.
it's pretty hard to, I would recommend that we put this on hold, because whatever we do here is gonna directly affect what we hit next. So if we're gonna change this buffer to 15 feet or leave it at 50, whatever that may be, that's gonna directly affect what's coming up next in the next public hearing. Or they wanted to annex, wanted to change the zoning over there to ag tourism. So I
Can I
thoughts,
ask another question?
you can fire away.
So, in our ag tourism, you know, the max is 10 acres, right? So is that including like the raised gardens, that doesn't count any of that, like that area? It is physically having something on it? Because you're going to now change the setbacks? Or does that, because it will add 3.35 acres. So then are we getting in, it's a max of 10 or 50% of that 30? So what are we at acreage-wise if we increase that with the new plans? Has anyone figured that acreage amount?
With the new plan.
This
That
new
doesn't,
site plan is what I'm asking. And, because you have to, so they've decreased the, so they've decreased the amount of, if they decrease the amount of wetlands, it increases their ag tourism acreage. Is that staying still within the code of the ag tourism, which is 10 acres max?
Not sure I completely understand, but I believe that it's just based on the
Overall
overall
average.
site
It's-
acreage.
yeah.
Whether you have 50% of that site in wetlands or not, you
So-
still have.
So where this is 13 acres plus acres, they have 10 acres that they can build upon. That's the max.
Just under 7 acres. I think it's a total of 13.9 something acres is this lot. So they have 50% up to a maximum
Above
of 10.
Right.
So at let's just say it's 14 acres, that gives them 7 acres.
So that,
To
and out of
develop.
that 7 acres, if half of it is wetlands, then they only get to build
They
on 3, or
still
do
only
anything on
get-
3.
Right,
3 and a
that's what
half.
I'm asking. If we
Yes.
decrease it, are they
No.
going past
The
the 50%?
No.
You know
Has
that
nothing to do
on
with it.
paper?
Huh?
Or are you just
Yeah.
guessing?
No.
I don't see any calculations. That's why I'm asking.
But it's based over total acreage, not total acreage out of wetlands. It's
Okay.
based off of total acreage. So if there's, say, 14 acres,
Right.
they can build on half of that up to 10 acres, so they get 7 acres. If 3.5 acres is in wetlands, then they get to do,
No,
3.5.
1.63 would only be acres of wetland.
But in theory. in
but
theory.
agreed, but you're still not giving them any more. They're only, you're giving them more to build upon, but it has nothing to do with
The 50%.
the 50%. Because they're still losing 1.3 acres out of the wetland, for wetlands.
You're not understanding what I'm saying. So,
I
okay.
I think I do. Okay. Question, comments? Let's have a recommendation, a motion. What do you want to do? Do you want to reduce it? Do you want to leave it in ag tourism? You want to put it on hold? You want to do what? Let's keep moving here. Yes, sir.
Now that you've held the public hearing, we've had some discussion, if you'd like to discuss the next item and then come back and vote on this one or vote on the other one, you certainly have that discretion to do that.
Agreed.
We would be supportive of whatever direction you take, but if you'd like to do that, we're more than happy to
Would
make
you
our
be
next
interested in hearing
presentation.
what the proposal is next, before we make an motion on this? Or I want to take it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. All right, Jill, let's do the second part of this.
Okay. Parcel KT 589 is a 40-acre parcel located at approximately 1475 west, 200 south. It was annexed into the city in August of 2024 and zoned Ag 5. The new owners are proposing rezoning to Ag Tourism to match the property across the street at 1476 west, 200 south. The surrounding properties are either zoned Ag 5 within Camas City or a similar zone to Ag 5 within Summit County. Per the Camas City Code 15.03.010, the Planning Commission may recommend and the City Council may approve a zoning map amendment if they find that the proposed amendment will allow land for a community need that was not anticipated at the time of adoption of the Camas City General Plan or the most recently adopted land use map, or the existing zoning was either the result of a clerical error or a mistake of fact, or that it failed to take into account the constraints on development created by the natural characteristics of the land, but including but not limited to steep slopes, floodplains, unstable soils, and inadequate drainage, or the land or its surrounding environs has changed or is changing to such a degree that it is in the public interest to encourage redevelopment of the area or to recognize the changed character of the area. Some of the pros: the ag tourism zone aligns with the city's goals to sustain working farms and promote rural character. The proposed ag tourism zone maintains agricultural uses as the primary activity. A couple of the cons would be expansion of the ag tourism zoning is primarily agricultural, in primarily agriculture areas, could incrementally alter the rural landscape. Also, possibly neighboring property owners may experience increased visitor activity consistent with the quiet, low-density surroundings. Sorry, I'm skipping around on the staff report. The staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the application to verify that it meets the zoning map amendment criteria per the Camas City Code 15.03.010. It is also recommended that if the Planning Commission approves the zone change, that conditions for parking be included as well as traffic and pedestrian safety.
Okay.
I will try and pull up that map.
All right. You're not going to weigh in on this one either, are you, Scott?
Nope.
All right. With that, we open this up to public hearing. This is a public hearing. You are free to make some comments. Fire away. Let's get going.
Okay. One of the reasons that we're requesting this zone change is so that we can now expand the agricultural operation on the south side of 200 South. This is intended to have pasture, the dairy, or and the creamery on this side, and then have the north side, which we just looked at, more of the retail, the showcase, the tourism side. So these two would work together. It allows for more room for just for the milking operations and for the creamery and the production of the dairy goods. So that's why we're asking for the ag tourism here. The other thing it would allow us to do is to provide a lot more parking for both operations if we can, build this larger parking lot on the south side instead of having what limited parking we had on the north side. We see these two properties working together. It'd all be part of the same operation, but this is more of the working farm. Again, the other side would be more of the tourism, retail, restaurant side. That's the whole purpose of this zone change.
Thank you. Questions? Why hasn't jumped back to EC yet? We're still in the public hearing. Nobody's going to talk. So we'll close the public hearing, and then we'll throw it up here. Fire away. Go ahead.
So for me, it's not so much a question as a concern that the agritourism idea, to me, works on a small scale. And to me, the more and more we go out into our meadows and build parking lots and build more of a business sense, to me, that's more defying the purpose of our agritourism zone and more becomes commercial face. That's just my thoughts on it. Just to be discussed, I don't.
Okay. I've thought about this quite a bit the last couple of days. For me, the benefit is, out of the 40 acres, they only get to develop 10 if we put it in an ag tourism. So they only get 10 acres. 30 acres is going to be open space. They can't develop that 30 acres. To me, that was a plus, one aspect. The other part that I'm with you, I didn't really like to see was a great big parking lot out in the middle of the field, right? But on the other hand, if this parking lot reduces some of the parking in the other zone or across the road, that we could maybe put some more wetlands or whatever that may be. What I'm like I said, I think honestly, my gut feeling is going through this, I felt like it would deserve to work meeting with the city council like we did on the last one to have some comments so we can move forward, you know, so we're united, have a united front moving forward. I thought I don't know if the city council would be up for a work session to discuss this. Like we did on the last one, that way we're all sitting down at the same table talking, and so we can go through it one time and, or,
It's a funny time of year to have extra meetings,
I know,
but
hey, we're meeting next time anyway.
they wouldn't be opposed. I'm
Tammy
sure
said.
they would be open to that, yes, but it's harder from now until January to
I-
find extra meetings.
I agree.
Just as a
Agree.
thought. So, yes, and it's more likely after January, obviously.
But even still, we got 60 days, right, before we, I mean, probably not what you want to hear. I don't suppose you're going to do much development over the winter.
We'll work with you, just whatever.
But
If you make a motion to table it, then you would address it at your next meeting. That 60 days is if you make a recommendation. But if you table it, I don't think that 60 days plays in. Is that correct, Jill?
I was just under the assumption.
My belief is it does. It's 60 days from the public hearing.
Yeah, from
which
60
is
days
today.
from the public hearing. That was what I thought. Which is still January, but nonetheless, we could get a work session in there.
I'm sure the city council would be willing to have a work session, yes.
But again, haven't heard from the rest of you. That was just my thoughts.
Chairman, if too much parking is a concern, it'll be one of the first times in my career. but we
I
can
know,
obviously-
I know.
We can obviously scale it, we can obviously scale it back and say, hey, it's master plan, but we'll only put in this many spaces now and see if it works. Thanks.
I knew you was gonna bring that up. No, but yes, it's just.
We have options.
I'm just looking here, there's probably as much parking there as there is at Food Town, so I'm just like, wow, okay. Just saying.
There's not enough of Food Towns.
I know.
Maybe they could bus them into Food Town.
I'd like to hear from you two, if you'd be so kind.
My concerns, I guess my concerns as I was looking down through this, the biggest thing was that pedestrian safety condition between those two parcels. That was my biggest concern was crossing right there. And I know that you had put in, you know, that we may need to put in another light, high visibility striping, something, but that's one that I thought, ooh, yeah, that one, that piece frightened me just a little bit, so, and I'm sure there's ways to mitigate that, but that was a frightening piece to me.
Yeah, one of my questions is in this master plan overall development, does the road width play into any of that port at any point in time? Are we maybe thinking about widening the road?
It's part of the annexation agreement. It's identified in there that some road widening would have to take place, but it doesn't give any details about that. Scott and I have already had discussions. A traffic study will play into that, and then also Scott's decision. But yes, that will be part of it.
And if this was to change, that would help change some of the requirements too.
Right. So what signage we have, what lights we have for pedestrian crossings, that all takes place. Some of those details we may not see till we get into the site planning. If you wanted to say, hey, we want to see some of those now, but, you know, what comes first, the zone change or the site plan, the chicken or the egg? You know, one of those great questions you always have in planning.
Yeah, and I guess kind of maybe to what Tammy's bringing up, we had a site plan before, and
Yeah, this was not part of it with annexation, you're right.
what's going on out there wasn't part of the site plan. So now you can maybe see what we're kind of
I
trying to
understand.
maybe
Yeah.
understand a little bit more before we jump.
Travis, would it help if you spoke to any of those items? You're more over the project than I am.
I really prefer to stay in the back and let Paul do the hard work up front here. So I'm Travis Olson. I'm the owner's rep for Ballerina Farm. So a few different things, and I'll do my best to summarize it. So what you see out there right now, we see this as entirely temporary. So it's all just hoop houses, and we're growing vegetables and those kinds of things. We're moving a little dirt around, some dirt that was imported in from a different project that was just being stockpiled there, and we're sort of shoving it over and moving it to our other site. So all of this is just cleaning the site up to make it more accessible for visitors that we do plan on seeing there this winter. We've had some conversations with Jill and even Scott to some degree to say, not that, we're not trying to catch anybody off guard. And even with, with Whitey, it's just like, hey, we're giving you a heads up. We're doing some things out here. Don't be scared or alarmed. And we're going through all the processes that we need to review plans and safety and fire alarms. And so we are doing a lot of those things on the back end. And I respect that we haven't brought any of these things forward to you yet, because we're officially we're not submitting for site plan approval yet. And the quote site plans that you've seen are really, they're site concepts. And we're trying to sort of describe to you, in 2023, here's a vision of what we think might happen inside this ag tourism zone. And you see ideas of, restaurants and animal pens and these kinds of items. So this is all evolving for us as well. So we see that. Okay, I think in terms of pedestrian access and some of these other elements, we agree with you. I mean, if we want to be putting our parking on a site that is much, much larger on the south side than it is the north side, pedestrian access across the street is going to be paramount for us. So whether it's well lit, we'll have lengthy conversations with Scott about traffic and safety and all of the road and adjustments that might need to be made there. Okay, so those are some of the things that we're working on our side with planning and the nature of what's happening on site. It's just temporary. Any other questions for me right now?
Maybe a question for both of you. One thing we've spent quite a bit of time on the previous was the wetland issue. I'm sure that you have seen the Corps' report for this parcel prior to purchasing, and what kind of effect are we going to see on that?
Yeah, you want to take it?
The wetlands that have been identified are mostly in that pasture area that's in the northeast corner.
Okay,
Yeah,
that you're calling the pasture?
yes, yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty much it. The buffer,
Not issues with the road or the parking lot. In fact, the biggest issue we have is crossing over the wetlands that are in the road right-of-way to get to 200 South.
right.
So we'll likely be putting in a bottomless box culvert or a small bridge to span those.
And under current code, the parking lot, you can build on
Right.
the 50-foot buffer, so.
In this case, we've stayed out of the 50-foot buffer, but you're right. Current code, we
Well,
could.
it's something for us to consider as we
Right.
consider this. is-
The more the more I think about it,
And that's why
the buffer in the ag
considering
tourism
both
zone makes sense.
projects. The other question I have for our council is, so we talked about the percentage that can be used in the ag tourism zone to be built on or have improvements on. Is that per parcel, per owner, because now my question is, we've got the same owner on both sides of the road, does that affect that?
I would say it's two different parcels.
I'm not sure how if our code reads directly that way, or if it,
Are you talking about one ag tourism on
So
two
does this
separate parcels?
Now, does this encompass
owned-
under one ag
I,
tourism?
yeah, I
40
asked
acres and
Joel, he
13
said no, they're
acres and-
separate lots
They're separate.
owned by same owner, but they're both entitled to,
Kind of like having different building lots of record, right?
so
Yeah.
it would be per parcel.
Yes.
That would be a question for council
yeah.
to get us a
I
clear
think we
definition.
should look into that.
Yeah, we
And they
should.
would be interested in that also.
It might be helpful, Jill and I have talked quite a bit, well, we have talked about this. It might be helpful if you pull it up now, or I just had it up a second ago.
Which one?
This is the 10 acres, sort of the section in your code about how much we can actually build on this particular property. And we have been thinking about that in some of our master plans to make sure that we're staying underneath some of these requirements. This is a little anecdotal, but we can pull it up for chapter and verse. It's my understanding that if some of these items are supportive of agriculture and supportive of the use as land, for instance, a dairy or a creamery, those would actually be not, those would, we could build a dairy on there, but that's all supportive of the usage. It would be only likely be items that are things like a retail store or, like I guess, I don't know how you'd look at a restaurant. If it's a farm-to-table restaurant and we're pulling vegetables and we're pulling things off of the farm, but yet we're serving it in the restaurant, there's some conversation that's probably had there. It's a little hard for me to stand up and argue, well, a 5,000 square foot retail store is directly related to ag tourism. Like, we're more than willing to concede that that's, the 5,000 feet or the 2,000 feet needs to be a part of this kind of reductive percentage that we're talking about.
Okay.
So,
But ag tourism isn't where people go and you have them watch milk cows. It's too big of a liability if somebody gets kicked or cow goes crazy. This is like a little petting thing. They can stick their hand in and do something. There was no ever conversation about milking cows there, or the creamery was talked about that, but there was never any discussion about actual the cows being milked there or anything like that because of the liability that would be put on.
Yeah, we see it as we're hoping that it's a fully functional dairy, but we're also trying to put people as close to what that is as possible. It would still potentially be, I hate to use this term like a zoo, but it would be like, we don't anticipate, I don't think we anticipate letting the public come up and milk cows and go
No,
through
you
that
can't even-
process.
You can't predict what animals are gonna do, and it's not a safe environment and that wasn't our purpose, to have full adult animals there. It was more like a petting zoo or walking around or something in a pasture. It wasn't to have them, that was never discussed as far as having a full working dairy on there, because they have their big dairy down Democrat Alley. They never proposed that to us, ever.
I couldn't speak to that. I mean, maybe Paul could or somebody else, but I think that's our hope, is in terms of, we hope that in the spirit of the ag tourism zone,
You
just.
put yourself at having PETA come and other people like that. I've been in the dairy industry, and
Yeah.
people want to come and think that they want to let out your animals, and they think that you're torturing them by putting the milking devices on them. Like, you're setting yourself up for something that you may not be fully aware of and
Yeah.
never been exposed to.
Yeah,
When you have
that's
to
all fair.
When you have to patrol your sheds and your dairies
Yeah.
to protect your animals, you do not want a dairy sitting that close to 248. It's safer to stay out at Democrat Alley.
We appreciate the comment.
Yeah.
yeah. If it's not put in the ag tourism zone, right, they can put a dairy out there.
Sure, if it's not in, if we don't zone it, yeah. We never have that defined in
And I
our
would have-
ag
would
tourism
look
to
at-
have an
would have to
actual
look-
working dairy.
I'll have to look at that portion. And something to may consider is, do you want to put that whole 40 acres in ag tourism?
Yeah, we do.
You want to do the whole thing?
And I think that's our hope.
Okay, okay. All right, more questions?
So is the barn currently out there, is it being used more as an event center, reception center, and it's not going to be a creamery? Because you've been holding quite a few events out there.
So the current white barn that's there now, we've had a couple of pop-up events over the last, throughout the fall. What we're doing right now, we've got the plans in for plan review. We're insulating the building. We're making it now it can be a functional retail building for us. We've had fire marshal out there in conversations, and so we're bringing it up to code and all the regulations that it would have to be for the barn. So as of this season, and in the near term going forward, we're permitting this to be allowed to to do retail in there.
Has the city received complaints from anyone in the community about the events out there? Because I have. Because the parking on both
Yeah.
sides, there's no parking inside, they've been parking on 248, they don't feel like a fire truck could get to their house.
We complain about it internally, so some of these things are,
I just don't want to keep getting phone calls at my house. I don't want to keep people stopping me at the grocery store saying,
Yeah.
what's Ballerina doing out there?
What are
They're
they
not
doing?
sticking to the site plans that have been listed on the city's website. People are very attentive of what's going on
Yeah.
out there. And,
Yeah.
you know, that's the conversation about the road being wide and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so I purposely would love this to be in a phase, like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, where we're not telling you today that we're gonna do to ag, we wanna see what you're gonna do with the first 14 acres, and then let's have that conversation about what is coming next, because
Yeah.
then we stay more informed because you could change, you know, the parking lot across the street could be something, or the dairy or something like that. Like, I just think that, you still gotta get the water and sewer down there, like, you got a lot of work to still do. So for me, it's a little soon to say that I want that rezoned as an ag tourism. I just can't do it right now. I need to see what the first phase is gonna do, I guess.
we hear you,
what's the
especially on,
rush?
yeah. The rush is, there's a few different things. So if we're gonna spend, we know that in order for our 14 acres to be viable, it's gonna cost us over $1 million to bring in utilities from town out to this property. $1 million is a lot of money that we're not gonna see any recoup on. There's a possibility that there's future developers and people that connect in, you know, across the highway, and we can be recouped there, but we don't have any visibility into that right now either. So it's an effort to say, okay, look, we're gonna make a really big investment for the town, for us, for everybody, for a mile, all the way down that stretch. As a part of this, we'd love to continue to sell croissants out of the farm store, and we love them. I eat too many of those things during the day. But we can't just sell croissants here and pay for this big investment that we know we're bringing in. So in that effort, it's a dual-prong approach for us. We want to activate what's happening on the north side, and we know that it's been a hard road for us to work through. The wetlands have been a real big challenge over the last 18 to 24 months. And we're trying to work through those things. And we know there's been some changes to the site plan or the concept plan that was shown to you when we were requesting that original zone change to what it is today. That's because the goalposts for us have been moved. And that's kind of the world we're in on the 14 acres. What's happening on the south side is we're also in a place where we're asking for an ag tourism zone. So what we can do is we can help to pay for this big investment that we have coming down the road with all of the utility and improvements that are going in there. We also see this ag tourism zone as a preservation of land that's out there versus someone coming in, you know, and I'm not saying that this would be approved, but someone coming in and saying, I just want to do a subdivision out there. Yeah, they're going to be great lots, but they're all going to be 1 acre lots. And you've got a lot more pavement and a lot more infrastructure and a lot more burden on what happens in that area of the valley. And we want to see this preserved, as well preserved as we can possibly make it. But we also have to find a way to be able to monetize that in some way that is still beautiful for us, and it adds to the Camas Valley, brings in amazing jobs, brings in all of the things that we think are important, and we're not trying to tell you what to do, but it is a fine balance between a little bit of growth, keeping preservation, and keeping the feel of what's happening in that part of Camas.
Okay, thank you. All right. I would have a recommendation or a motion, whatever you would like to see. I personally would like to table it, but that's my own thoughts. So we can have see if the city council would be willing to have a work session with us. Because I think a lot of these things that we're talking about can be fixed right there.
So I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we table this and try to get with the city council to have a work session so we can discuss this and kind of get everybody on the same page.
We have a motion.
Tabling both 2 and 3.
You have to do two separate ones.
We have to do 2 separate motions.
Okay, so
So
I'm
which
gonna,
one are we talking?
this one's going to be
three.
on the,
The rezoning.
yep, the rezoning
The rezone.
from agricultural
This is
5
the
to
rezone.
I'll second
agricultural tourism zone.
Have a motion and second on the rezoning.
Who's second?
Tim? All those in favor? Matt?
Yes.
Sorry, Wes. Matt was on my way around. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Tim? Yes.
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 Okay.
Was that all?
Yeah.
Yes. Unanimous. Unanimous. Okay, one more.
I'm gonna find-
One more, please. One more.
I make a motion that we also table the discussion on the wetlands until this other's discussed with city council.
Perfect.
I'll second it.
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
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 Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks again for rearranging your schedule.
You bet, not a problem. High Star Ranch North Meadow owners requesting a plot amendment to remove building envelopes. This is not a public hearing. So, Jill, fire away. This is not a public hearing.
City council on this one. And actually, I'm gonna send it over to Scott.
So, back when the North Meadows subdivision was approved in High Star, can you pull that up?
Yep.
The developer wanted to create some open views for the lots. So they put building envelopes to limit where the people could build their homes. And now that some of the lots are built on, some of them aren't, the property owners have got together and are requesting to remove those building envelopes so that they can build outside and take away some of their view corridors. So in our code, we don't have anything other than building setbacks for those lots. So as long as they meet,
I need to zoom in probably.
zoom in on one lot.
Let's go with lot 10 right there. Or actually, that,
Go down. The
That-
ones on the bottom are a little bit easier.
Yeah,
to see.
go to the one that's brought the whole thing
Yeah,
into
see,
light.
like
There you
lot
go.
one right there, you can see at the top of the screen where they kind of hand sketched some stuff in, that's where the house is, that's the only place they can build. And then the long kind of handle is part of his lot, but he can't build on that.
so these big dashes here are the setbacks. These little dashes are the building envelope.
So the big dashes are our setbacks.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
That little ones are the envelope that they agreed to when they created the subdivision.
Yes.
When the developer, yep.
Okay.
Yep. So in our code, we don't have anything that says they have to have these building envelopes. They set them upon themselves to do that. And there's nothing in the development agreement that says they have to have those. They just says that they can just build a main structure on these lots. They can't have detached garages or guest houses on these lots as part of the development agreement. They can just have a main house with an attached garage. So as far as with the plat amendment, you have to get signatures of all the owners of the plat that we're doing the changes to, and they have submitted signatures of everybody that's wanting to do that. So in order to do this, they'd have to create a plat, and have everybody sign on it, including the homeowners association who is involved with the roads and the open space. We'd have to have them sign on it too. So our recommendation that, you approve this with the conditions that they have to get all the signatures and the homeowners associations to sign on this plat and remove the building envelopes.
So we have the signatures from everybody in that, do they have the signatures from everybody in that plot right there?
Yes.
These
Yep.
are all.
And you're recommending that we get signatures from the whole,
No, just everybody, on the plat, everybody has to sign it, including the homeowners association.
okay, all right.
That's the difference. We don't have, they say they have the homeowners association support, but I don't have a signature from them on that.
Okay.
But talking with the attorney, we do have to give the homeowners association a sign on that.
So if we remove those building envelopes, are they able to build clear out to our boundaries, to our
Setbacks?
setbacks?
Yes.
And they all know that. They all understand that that's what they want, that
That's what they claim in their letter to us, so.
okay? Because that's gonna, okay?
There are limitations into the overall square footage that we can build on the sites there.
Okay,
And there are still some architectural requirements that are, but,
okay.
you know, biased, I'm lot one there that has the biggest area that feels undevelopable. or
Okay.
Improvable.
Right,
So, you know, I'm very limited. I'm right to the edge of my building envelope right now, what I have, so keep that valuable to me and everybody.
can you blow that up a little bit, Jill?
And can you come up to the microphone so we can get you on the minutes?
Yeah,
State your name.
a little bit bigger for us that can't see.
Yeah, I'm Steve Springer. So I'm the owner of Lot 1.
Okay,
So, yeah, it's just, we felt that in the fairness of the development and as a whole, that we were the ones with the largest, some of the largest lots over there that had the biggest restrictions.
okay,
So the other part of the development in the Thorn Creek area, they have smaller lots, no building envelopes, and they can add additional structures of up to 900 square feet on those smaller lots. So we're the ones that got slighted the worst there. So since we have a new developer that's working with us, prior to this, he was, the previous developer on site was not in favor of this happening, but the current one said that they would support us. So if you approve it, they'll obviously get their approval to go along with it.
okay. So you still have restrictions about how many square feet you can build?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
And they can't build
NRCC
anything, everything has to be attached. It's
Yeah.
main house only, they can't have detached garages or guest houses.
So removing the building envelope, it would still stay that way?
Yes, they still have to meet the development agreement requirements. The only thing
No
that changes-
detached garage, no?
Yeah, the only thing that changes is they can build to our setbacks rather than the building envelopes.
So can I just ask a question? So tell me what benefit it is to you, because you already have a house there, right?
Correct.
So what benefit is it to you, so I can understand us removing that envelope?
Well, on my lot there, I mean, my garage is kind of right at the edge of where it flags there. So I can attach there and come that direction, south on my lot there, and expand my property. So I have I don't know if it's the largest, but the most unusable portion of land in that area
But there'll
right
still
there.
be a big part that's unusable, right?
I have a big part that's unusable.
Right, even with removing the envelope?
Even removing the envelope, I mean, I have less that's unusable.
Right.
Because right now I'm to the envelope. So I can't go really any further on my property without going up. I can't go out.
And everybody in the subdivision's on board.
Everybody in the subdivision's on
The
board.
only one you're saying we don't have is the HOA.
The HOA, yeah. And I did have his verbal approval. I wouldn't go through this effort without having that, because I knew we needed that.
So can I ask another question? Sorry.
Yeah.
You have enough questions tonight. Is everybody else kind of in the same situation? I mean, where you're just
Well-
wanting to expand, I would just,
Here's
yeah.
another one, Homage.
So I'm on 3.
State your name.
Jared Higgins, sorry. So if you want to scroll down, you'll see one go.
I need to go over.
Yeah, good luck. Oh, right there. So you can see the dotted line. We're
Okay.
on this in that side area.
Mm-hmm.
And that, my garage is south facing, so I have a sidecar garage. I would attach a garage that faces and come in this way, so that is very usable space for me. You know, I would just have 2 garages that way, so, yeah, that's why I'm here.
So that the littlest portion there, that's your building envelope.
Yeah, so if you're looking at it,
This right
so yeah,
here.
so.
Yeah, that's
That
your
little
building.
piece is your building
So my
envelope.
house sits this way, my garage sits this way, and I would just turn around and do another garage this way, so I could, and it has to be attached. Even the original developer wasn't so much against it as he was not letting us touch the development agreement. Like, that was an absolute, and rightfully so. We're not touching that, we're not at all. And this is the only phase in the neighborhood or plat that has this building, these building envelopes.
No,
Everything else is-
they do have them on other lots too.
Which ones? Because even the new phase, Spring Hill doesn't have them either,
The new phase that we just approved that has building envelopes on them.
on one that's not developed yet.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Everything developed up to this point, we're the only one.
Okay, questions? More questions?
No, my only question was to confirm that it didn't change things, that they're still, everything has to stay attached and no accessory dwellings, so.
Tim?
I don't have any questions.
Tammy? Ooh, easy, Kelly. You good? You're good? All right. With that, I would ask for a motion,
I'll make a motion.
not to adjourn. You can't adjourn a shed. We have to take care of this first.
Do you want me to pull out my stethoscope? I'll hit you with it.
Sorry. She's trying to get you to smile.
I'll make a positive recommendation to the city council to approve the removal of the
Building envelope.
plat amendment with, to get rid of the building envelopes. As they're
On the
prepared.
North Meadows.
What?
No,
Okay,
you're good?
with our conditions. Plat amendments are prepared by a surveyor, include all lot owners and homeowners associations as signatures on the plot.
Perfect.
Is there a third one that you said you have verbal, but
That's the homeowner.
That's the homeowners.
That's the homeowners.
The homeowners association lots.
do we need to add that?
She did.
She did, specified
Okay.
signature. I would second that motion.
Motion and a second. Wes?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Perfect. You bet. Municipal code definitions discussion about creating a definitions review committee. Do you want to enlighten here?
Sure. We seem to be going through the code definitions at a snail's pace.
Very slowly, but methodically.
Methodically. So some are concerned that maybe we should just get together a committee, smaller committee to just,
Knock them out.
yeah, that's the word, knock them out.
I mean,
Thoughts?
we're 5 small. How small are you thinking?
One.
You,
Gonna write him how she wants it.
So this.
take it away.
So this is obviously to keep it small enough that it's not committee, but to be able to have additional meetings. Is that the, Intent.
I
So-
vote Cindy and Jill.
Because I'm good at ChatGPT.
Scott and I would be involved with maybe one or two of you, I think was the
And then it would
idea.
come back to,
And then we'll
for
bring it
the-
back
Back
to
to- yeah,
here,
the-
once it's all
Yeah.
compiled,
Once it's all
and
compiled.
move it through.
And I,
Or maybe phased compilation.
yeah.
for a
Yeah,
milestone,
that's true.
and Here's some.
because let's be honest, there's some things that we need to address now,
Yes,
right? And I think those need to be pushed to the front of the line. This conditional work use
Yep.
permit tonight, we really shouldn't even be addressing that, right? It should be taken care of. That can be taken care of, so I think those get moved to the front of the line, but I'm for it. Huh?
a definition, that's, yeah.
Agreed, but part of that whole thing that we need to be working on, right? I'm for it. I think a smaller group that could meet a little more often than once a month, we could get through these a little faster. I think part of our hangup is we keep trying to compare the definitions to the code and what's gonna affect what, and we don't end up doing it a whole lot. So I'm for it. I think that's a good thing. Especially if we can all come back and do one quick review and say, so, yes.
Well, are you trying to do like A through Z, or are we still trying to do just 5 and then try to pass it to the lawyer? Because he takes so much time, like what is the,
It's kind of up to you.
I think we've tried it, if we push it through, I think we pushed the attorney.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, his review, if we gave him the whole thing at the very end, could almost
well, it could take him months
negate all the good moving forward that we thought we had done, because we feed him so much at one point, but.
okay. So we're suggesting phasing it then,
I would.
okay?
Because I think even if it's like, okay, we're gonna do, because are we at D?
I think we're still in C.
After how
There's
many
only
months, right?
26 letters in the alphabet.
We got stuck
if-
a lot on Bs.
But if we brought back like, you know what, here's 2 pages this month, and it's in Dropbox, so it can be reviewed, all of that, any changes, so it's already gone through phase 1 of changes, then hopefully there would just be a few little tweaks to be made.
Okay,
That's my thought.
And the answer is we're partway through C.
Oh,
That was
we're
what
not
was,
to D?
that was what was
stopped just
supposed
short
to
of
be
D.
reviewed.
Oh, we stopped short of D. Okay, I thought we were to D.
No.
We got
Close.
bogged down.
So I say, yes, let's do it.
okay.
That's me. You guys,
Let's do
you in
it.
favor?
Well, I am in favor. The only thing is time. I mean, do some have time and willing to have extra meetings? I can't speak for others. I'm not sure. I'm in a position right now that I could bite off more meetings.
That's you still.
But I'm just saying, I'm just gonna require a couple of us to be involved with that, and I don't wanna speak for others, but,
I do. Tim's got all the time.
Tim is the man with time.
He is the one who suggested it, so,
He loves me. He knows it.
You have-
Tim and Tammy.
That means that you've got the money, honey?
You can pay him out of my paycheck.
If I've got the time.
They can have whatever it is. Okay, you good?
I'm good, yep.
Yes, no?
Good with the committee.
We volunteered you and Tim, so
But
pay
she's good with the
attention.
committee as long as it's not her.
pay attention. You're gonna get voted in.
I said Jill and Cindy
Okay,
and Tim.
That's good.
and I voted Scott and Tim, so.
Your first,
okay. So it seems like the hard part,
Try like
it
Christmas.
seems like the hard part is gonna be you two finding two willing to help to do this. And, okay, let me ask you this, does it need to
Doesn't it say
be
you can't have
part
over
of
two?
this committee? does it need to be part of this committee?
You can't have more than,
Whoops.
have more than two of you.
That's what I say. So, does it need to be this committee?
I think somebody.
Definitions, in my opinion, doesn't necessarily need to be this committee, but if that's what we're doing is definitions.
I think we need to from our committee. I think that's our job. It's just a matter of whether we have the time for the meetings. It's our job.
Fair enough.
But with the definition of the meeting, because we've gotten into this before with the pre-meeting, is can't be more than two of us.
Yes.
We can still involve staff, right?
Yes.
Correct.
So it could be two staff.
Oh, look,
and
she's
two
volunteering.
Committee, whatever.
Yes,
Okay.
as long as it doesn't exceed two of us.
And maybe it doesn't have to be the same two. If somebody else isn't available, somebody else could step in.
Yeah.
I'm just
That's a good
saying,
idea.
Yeah,
Perfect.
You could rotate it too, like if Tim
That's
has
what
no
he
time.
just said. You get tired?
She is, I can tell her eyes are
Okay.
starting to
Me too, but
glaze.
it's okay. All right.
Okay, so we will take
that's
over a
not
committee.
saying I'm- Just because I have time, I'm not even tired.
Are you drawing straws,
They're gonna draw straws and let us know.
or is it Cindy and
I
Tim?
What do you
I
guys?
got booed and hissed at when I said that, so.
I would be willing to help.
Thank you. Okay, we've got one. Two.
And
All right.
I always love Tim's insight,
So we'll get with you guys and schedule when this is gonna
And
happen.
when they get tired of us,
Then
Then
one
you're
of
up.
us
Yep,
will-
then we'll just rotate through.
Tag, you're it.
I'll take my turn,
I would
as long as
expect,
I don't have to be there with him.
okay, then, what I was going to say doesn't apply.
I knew where he was going.
Huh?
Nothing.
I
Okay,
would expect there would be, from time to time, some times where we would say some insight from Rex or,
and I think dropping it in to say, hey, we got some issues in Dropbox, will you give us your input on them, right?
Okay.
Or something to that effect, or maybe it's, we're in a group setting, what, if we need to take time in a council meeting or in a commission meeting.
You can always add that at the bottom where it says under other planning and zoning
Right.
business.
Yes.
You can
and
give
we
a
could
quick
hit a
update
few
and say,
items.
"Can we get-"
Yeah, if there's items that you're just struggling with, that you want some other input, yes, let's talk
Yeah.
about them.
And then when we hit a milestone, then we say, here's what
Then
we
Matt's
think
buying
it
us
looks
dinner.
like. Let's go from there.
Matt buys dinner. Okay,
Do we have other panning business?
let's hit number 9 real quick.
Oh, yeah, the approval
Before
of the.
Tammy turns off our mics. I would hear a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes of the October 7th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
Perfect.
second
Motion.
that.
And a second.
Who's second?
Wes. Wes.
Yes.
Tim. Yes? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, all right. Other planning and zoning business.
Panning.
Other planning and zoning business.
Do we need a meeting in December?
Sounds like it, because Tammy tabled everything.
Yeah, and you've just tabled 3 things, so.
You just started, so yes.
I thought you did very well.
Does the planning, or does the council have a meeting? Do you have one meeting or 2 meetings?
They have a meeting
December.
next week and
Next week, we have
one in
in
December 9th.
Ninth?
And then we don't meet until January again. I could see us having that work session in December. I'm not sure that a planning meeting is necessary in December if we don't have the work
That's,
session.
If everything's
I would
tabled.
totally agree.
That's just my thought, but you guys schedule what you feel you need.
I think that work meeting is in place of our,
Planning meeting on December 2nd. So we want to try and
And
do the
here's the
work
other thing.
meeting on December 2nd.
Well, it might not.
That would be
So let's-
3 weeks in a row for
Let's
city
see-
council.
Let's see if the December 9th council meeting has any agenda items. If it doesn't, that could be the work session. Or if it's limited agenda items, then you can still have the work session and not have so many meetings. So I say we let it play for a week or so and see what happens and then get back with everybody, if that's okay with you.
I would agree. I totally agree. The
Is
only
there-
thing I would like to make sure happen
It's not
is
been.
we do have that work session meeting before our planning commission meeting in
In
January.
January.
Yeah, I agree, that needs to happen, and,
So whatever, if the 9th works, I'm all for
if we
that.
can combine it with the 9th, considering how hard it is to have extra meetings in December.
December?
I think we would actually have better success.
I agree. You guys agree?
The only concern I have is, do we have any sense of how, I mean, all of a sudden tonight's meeting was huge and there were a lot of other items. Is there going to be a backup if we push off meeting?
Yeah, we'll have to pick a different day. And we'll know that within a week, at least within a time that we would have to agenda it or post it.
Okay.
But yeah, we may have to pick a different date, yes, that's possible, but I don't know.
Okay, what else? General plan grant update.
I think the mayor just signed a letter of support for the technical assistance grant through MAG to help us update the grant, the general plan this next year.
So we're applying for $100,000 to hire a company to help us do the general plan, because that's a huge effort, and this planning commission is busy as it is. If we could have some help to get it going and have a draft to review instead of have to put the draft together, seems like a plus. So
A win-win.
we started that effort.
Yes.
Perfect. Did,
They
quick,
could,
go ahead.
they could maybe help with some of what's happening with this city center, SR 32 stuff too.
That was what I
Part
was
of
just
it,
gonna
yeah.
ask.
Yeah, so,
Yes.
I cringed when, well, so, okay, let me back up just a second. So MAG, it was a MAG grant, the MAG grant for the technical assistance for that study as well. And they, when they brought up how well we could use that in the incorporation of our general plan, and I cringed, they were like, well, that doesn't seem like that's very positive. And I said, well, there's some things that are okay, but I don't think it's all okay. So the letter I signed said with a thoughtful incorporation of components of that plan, so.
Okay.
So it's limited, but useful still, because it wouldn't look very good to MAG if we got a grant to do that study, and then we're applying for this grant, and they want to use that grant as backup, but we said that grant wasn't worth a darn. So we're,
Yes. Wait, they will not just give us money for a straight-out general plan, so we need to add something to it. So we're adding like the trail mobility issues along with
Would you just go ahead and send it to us?
implementing.
Email it to us, something, maybe, if you could, please?
sure, just you, and then you'll get it out, or do you want me just to include all of you?
Yeah, go ahead and include all of us. Tammy wants to hear it.
Dropbox it.
You want a Dropbox?
Okay.
So, to add to that, did
Yes.
anybody get a chance to go over before the meeting? And thoughts?
One concern I had is when I looked at their final presentation, there were a number of things that we had discussed that were different than what I saw in the final presentation. An example, we had several discussions about roundabouts. I had several people approach me about, what are we doing putting roundabouts here and there? And we'd had that discussion. They said they understood that they didn't work well in rural settings. So that was some of the feedback I recalled from our previous meetings. And yet,
Have a
in
roundabout.
every corridor along the way, there was a number of roundabouts proposed.
I don't think so.
Look in Dropbox and see if you can see says final draft 2025.
Yeah, I see it.
See it? It's not in any folders, it's just in the Kansas City Planning Commission folder itself. That's the letter that I signed, of support. Jill.
Where was it?
Jill,
What is it?
reviewed it so that.
Oh, final draft 2025.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
And there, I didn't have time, time to spend the whole evening looking at those type of things, but there's some good elements of it, but I think there's some that, from the Kansas City standpoint, we need to keep an eye on and be careful with.
I think the same thing will apply with this general plan update. We're gonna have to take what they provide us and we may thin it out a little bit or, personalize it a little bit. We may do some modifications, for sure. I expect us to do that.
Okay. All right. Anything else? I would entertain a motion then.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Thank you. Why is that the hardest one to get well, not quite, but the hardest one? Okay. Whoa. Perhaps you got a lot of shit open. Who is Caden Ferris?
Is this turned off?
Not yet. Give me 1 second.
Yep. Wes.
Where did you see that? Because I saw it